Hello, werewolves. How are you tonight? Welcome to Death by Podcast, episode 41, your horror movie podcast where we go through the alphabet. We pick a vintage horror movie for every letter. We talk about it. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Evan.
That son of a bitch. On tonight's show, the main topic is 1981's The Howling. And this was Kevin's letter, H. He got sick of me hearing me like bitch about him not having seen The Howling, and he picked it.
People have been telling me my whole life to watch this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about time.
It was about time. So I'm excited to talk about that. Before we get into it, we got some news and stuff and things. What do you got, Kevin?
Well,
wait, before you get into that,
yeah,
give us the Taco Bell update.
They still don't have coffee sizes. They still don't have coffee sizes. They still have a kick-ass breakfast. They still open at 7 a.m.
Dude, I got some Taco Bell the other night thinking about you. Like I got up too late for breakfast and I got some, so I was like, all right, I'll get it for dinner. It's so disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Taco Bell's regular food, it's definitely, I don't know if it's just that I'm older but like, it's not as good as it used to be, right? Like Taco Bell used to be really good. If
you eat it in the place, it might be better. But by the time I walk literally 5 minutes home, it's just a sog fest.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just gross and weird.
But I didn't even mention their crunch wrap, man. They've got a breakfast crunch wrap that's awesome too.
Wow.
It's got all the stuff you think. It's got eggs and bacon, but and it's got a full hash brown in there.
A full hash brown? What is a hash brown? Hash browns. Like I know what hash browns are, but what is one hash brown? Like what is
it's
one
like
thing?
Like think of McDonald's hash browns.
All right, so like
you get two of them.
Yeah, all right.
It's like one.
I know hash browns come in different shapes and sizes, so I didn't know if there was an official like, hey, I'm holding a hash brown.
I mean, I don't know what it. I haven't taken apart the crunch wrap to see if it's just one big thing like McDonald's or if it's just like I dump it in there. Like they might do that too. Like
wouldn't surprise me.
It's awesome though,
dude. When you get a burrito, this is what pisses me off is two things. When you get a burrito, you take a bite and you get like beef and then you keep eating. When you get to the end, that's where the sour cream is. Why do they not spread it evenly? Like make a line of it instead of a blob of it.
I don't know. I don't do sour cream on my tacos.
I'm saying whatever the ingredient is, it's always on one end or the other.
That's just lazy. I'll bet someone out there at some Taco Bell has pride in his work, but
I don't know, man. Because I walked in there. The other thing, I ordered my food. I left for 10 minutes, came back, and walked into where you pick it up. 7 people stood there and looked at me, standing there, and I see my bag. It's just out of reach. It's right. I can see it. They just stood there looking at me. And I'm just like, I waited to see how long it would go. And like, finally I was like, hey, I think that's my food. And they're like, oh, okay, here. I'm like, you guys, it doesn't surprise me. You don't have different size coffee cups. That's where I'm at.
Well, that's not really their call. Like, like I feel like the service that they get, the people they hire and I don't know, their management, and it's not even management. It's like top level brass.
Top level. It's that top guy. It's Mr. Bell. Fuck that guy, dude. Mr. Bell, if you're listening. So did you mentioned earlier or before we started recording that you gave up your Twitter quest between Taco Bell and deleted your Twitter account because
I deleted my Twitter account, not because Taco Bell never responded to me, but I know
Mr. Bell didn't. Oh,
I was on Twitter for one reason, and it was just like why am I on this? Like I was. It's the worst place on the internet. It's just, and I found myself, I really do. There's something about that. I don't know what it is, but where I would close it and then 5 minutes later be back on it, just scrolling through, and it's all, it just sucks. And it'd be one thing if like on Instagram, you could trim it like a bonsai tree. You can be like, okay, man, like you can make Instagram awesome or Instagram could suck, like, if you want to follow shitheads on Instagram, that's on you.
Yeah.
But Twitter, you're getting that shit no matter what. I'm getting stuff.
Yeah.
like
It's
like
just
that.
people one-upping each other. That's
Yeah,
all
and
it
it's
is.
and it's
there's
people that
there's nothing good on it.
and it's people I follow. like I love Jeffrey Combs, man. I love Jeffrey Combs, and he doesn't even tweet that much.
Yeah.
But he retweets or replies to tweets constantly, and they're always about politics or shit. I'm like, Jeff Combs, I don't care what you think about
your buddy Jeff,
Ukraine, man.
Jeff Combs,
dude. I love Jeffrey Combs. I would geek out so much if I get to meet Jeffrey Combs. But like,
I know you would. We will. That'll happen. I know it will. And I'm going to be there to record it, and it's going to be on this podcast.
And it kills me. Like, I used to follow Dee Wallace. Same shit. It's just like, God, Dee Wallace. I don't care.
Well,
what you think of the Ukraine? And I understand, like, you know what? Use your platform for whatever. And I'm just like, oh God,
Dee Wallace,
Barbara Crampton, like all these people. I'm like,
yeah, I get it. I will say though, man, I've been trying to utilize the Twitter this last week, and I don't know, like I had a couple good interactions with new folks following us and some cool accounts, but the gem of the bunch. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this yet.
So we have a new friend of the show, Mark DeCascos, the Iron Chef, aka I don't know his character's name, but have you ever seen Brotherhood of the Wolf?
Yeah, I love Brotherhood of the Wolf.
I want to check when that came out. I want to say 2008.
No way. I bet it's like 2003.
Really? Okay, cool. Because I want to talk about it on this show. So the next time,
it's on VHS.
Next time B rolls around, yeah. Now I'm gonna stick by our rules, man. If it's not on VHS, I'm not playing games.
I'll bet it's on VHS.
I'm sure it is. All right. So next time one of us has B, let's agree to do that. I would love to talk about that movie. I would love to talk. It's a badass movie.
Is it even? Would you even consider it a horror movie?
Oh yeah,
2001.
Wow. Okay. I can't believe it was that long ago, and it's so ahead of its time. Just
that was awesome
visually. But he's great. He was in The Crow. For people who don't know it, The Crow TV show. He played Draven. You'd recognize him. He was the villain in John Wick 3. He was the main villain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I commented on, somebody made a post about something and it mentioned DeCascos, and I said DeCascos was the bomb as Iron Chef. Oh yeah, and in Le Pack des Loups, Brotherhood of the Wolf, because it's a French movie. And he responded. He was like, "Many alohas to you, my friend." And I was like, "Yes, we're in with DeCascos."
He's awesome. He's the best. I mean, I love John Wick 3.
Yeah,
and he's probably my favorite part, except for the knife fight. But
yeah. Oh,
he's great.
Yeah,
he's great in that movie.
The dog thing, man. The dog fight is awesome.
Yeah, the dog fight.
Holly
cool.
Bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Mark, if you're listening, reach out. We'll have you on the show, man. We'd love to have you on the show. Teach us how to bite into those fucking apples or like peppers that you did at the beginning. The guy's got the best bite action. So Kevin's off Twitter for everybody who doesn't give a shit, which is most of you.
Yeah, all like 9 of my followers or however many.
You had a bunch, man, because of that book. Was that book?
No, that's Instagram. Instagram, there's I got a bunch of followers, but
I don't know. It's not what I heard. I mean, yeah, that too, but was that book?
Time Wise, the
available in
it's on Amazon. Yeah,
it's on Amazon.
Just Google Time Wise in my
Kevin made it. What else you got? What else? What you got? Rob Zombie? What's he doing?
Rob Zombie news. He has been tweeting up a storm since last week, and they're all good.
You're gonna miss your buddy Rob, dude.
Well, okay. So, on February 10th,
oh shit,
you'll like this. He tweeted out these House of a Thousand Corpses action figures.
What?
And they're pretty sweet. They're pretty cool.
Do you know who he's having make them? Like, are they NECA?
No, but the first comment was like that. Meds like something about like. I wish they were made by somebody else. Trick or Treat Studios.
Trick or Treat Studios. What the hell is that?
They make a lot of masks. They do good stuff. They make badass monster masks.
Really?
Yeah, they're quality. They were at a Flashback at the HorrorCon.
Really? What were they selling? What did they have that I would have?
I think they had the Gremlin. They had the life-size Gremlins. No, I have the one from NECA. NECA makes 2. They make the Flasher Gremlin and then the regular Stunt Gremlin. This other company makes like just a bunch of other ones.
Are they quality?
They make a physical puppet one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they might have the license from Gremlins 1, and NECA might have Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
But actually I'm looking on their Instagram right now, and it looks like they have a bunch more Gremlins, and they're the ones from Gremlins 2. Holy shit. And they have a Daffy. Daffy's the like weird one in Gremlins.
The googly eyes.
Yeah, he's my favorite. And
it's so weird that it makes sense that that's your favorite. I've figured you out, dude. I've figured you out. Remember what you said last episode about joke food?
Yeah.
And wasn't that in reference to Taco Bell? I'm tying it all.
Yeah.
Watch. I'm tying it all together. So joke food. So you also, your favorite movies are the joke movies, like the same quote unquote joke food, joke movies. And Daffy is like straight up. He almost even looks like Alex Winter from fucking Freaked.
The eyes.
Know? Yeah, just the same character. And you love Freaked. And it's just like, I figured you out. See, I've tied it all together.
Okay.
All right. Give me another date on Rob Zombie. What else you got?
Okay. So 6 days ago. So whatever that was, we got the
11th. This is the next day after the 10th.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Casting news.
Oh,
George Garcia or Jorge Garcia. I think it's George.
Yeah.
He played Hurley on Lost.
I didn't watch Lost.
He's the big fat guy with the curly hair.
I don't know. I didn't watch Lost.
He's like, okay. He's in other stuff, but he's like, he would have, even if you didn't watch Lost until a couple of years ago. And I knew what this guy looks like. He's anyway,
Jorge
he got
Garcia.
cast as Floop.
Floop.
Yeah. The Hunchback.
What? See, all right.
Herman's best friend.
Yeah. That's not a thing, Rob. Sorry. That's not a thing in the Munsters. I told you it's going to suck. Told you. Floop.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Is there a picture of the character?
I don't know. It's a picture of him, and it looks like, yeah, I think it is a picture of the character.
That's the thing. Herman. Nobody wants to be Herman's friend because he looks like Frankenstein. So that's the thing. Is like, and he's
gonna be like a barn. Oh, there is a picture.
But he's the nicest dude on the block. So it's like, that's the catch. Floop. Get out of here. All right. The 12th. What happened on the 12th?
The 12th, he posted a bunch of just photos of the cast
in costume.
So, yeah, full and like just a better look at what they look like. I'm sending it to you now.
Oh,
yeah, and it again, if you're okay with
great, we're like the Weekly Planet now. All of a sudden, like the horror version of the Weekly Planet. Shout out James, and fucking. Why can't I remember the other guy's name?
Mason.
Sorry, Nick Mason. Yeah, I knew his first name, Nick. Let's see. Let's look at this picture. What is this? Is this Floop?
That's the first one's Floop. The second one is just more cast photos.
Dude, and
they don't look bad. They don't look bad.
Yeah, but it would be great if it was a horror movie. This is not. Oh, this is terrifying, dude. No.
It looks very, very brightly lit too.
Well, it's very like, who's the guy next to Grandpa in the green light?
I don't know.
He looks like an older version of Grandpa. I'm sorry, dude. I don't like Grandpa's mustache.
I don't mind it. I hated it at first, but
Herman looks like cosplay. I hate Sherry Moon Zombie. Who's the guy with the goggles? He looks familiar.
I don't know. I think what I think that might be. So, George Garcia is cast as
Jorge Garcia.
Yeah, whatever it is. He is cast as Dr. Wolfgang's hunchback assistant, and I think the guy with the goggles is
Dr. Wolfgang. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe a rival, but you said he's Herman's best friend. Floop. Who's the woman? Do we know the woman in the bottom?
Yes, I announced her a couple of weeks ago. I forget everything already. They brought her. She's like an old movie star from back in the day. She's been in movies from back in the day.
She's got potential, but no, I mean, it's no to all this. Okay.
All right, and
so far you're striking out, Rob.
All right.
Come on the show to defend yourself. All right. So the 13th, what happened on the 13th?
The next day was T-shirt Tuesday, which is he just posts a picture of the T-shirt he's wearing and gives props to whoever made it. In this case, his wife gave it to him. And then the day after that,
14th.
Wait. Yeah, day after that was like a Valentine's Day post.
Wow, you're on point with the dates now. All right.
Yeah, just like it was just a picture of Herman and Lily, and it says Happy Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Nothing great. But then he posted a picture of him and Danzig from 1992.
Oh, see, that's cool.
Yeah,
Little Glenn Danzig,
pretty much. He's
his prime, and that was it.
That's it on Rob Zombie news.
Are you still on board with this?
I'm gonna see it, and I'm fine with it. I don't think it would ever replace what people,
the idea of.
Yeah, nobody's gonna be like, "What do you mean there was a Monsters TV show?" Like, I think this will come and go. If it's bad, we'll forget about it, and
that's the thing. It won't. It's not going to be bad to Rob Zombie fans, and they're going to look at it and be like, "This is the new monster."
I don't know. I mean, Rob Zombie. You would think the people who are who like Rob Zombie like this doesn't look like Rob Zombie stuff. I mean, it looks.
Just wait, dude. I'm telling you.
It looks like it's rated PG.
Like the picture you sent me of Floop,
mm-hmm.
By himself with the dead guy on the table, and all you can see is the feet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that's the beginning of it. That's like some grizzled, weird Rob Zombie stuff.
I think it's gonna be like a big cartoon. I think it might be. I think it looks like they shot it for the WB. Like it doesn't.
Well, that picture of Herman, yeah, totally.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But I think that's the trick he's playing right now. He wants to lure all the actual Munsters fans in to see his grizzled weirdo-ness.
I wonder. I don't know.
I'm telling you, dude.
We got some movie news.
What you got?
Or series news. Stranger Things season 4 got announced.
Ooh. Have we seen season 3 yet?
I have.
Okay, so I'm caught up, but right? When was season 3 released?
I don't know, like 2 years ago.
Okay, I've seen it.
Stranger Things since the beginning has been for me, I'm like, I guess I'll watch this. Like, I'm not like, I don't love it. I don't hate it.
Really?
Yeah, I liked the first season enough, but since then I've been like, whatever. Like, if it got canceled, I wouldn't even notice.
Sure, but they do some things really well. They really do grab that. Everybody's trying to grab that 80s aesthetic. They really do it well.
I think they're the ones that kind of kicked that off.
In a lot of ways.
They did it really well, and then you get your Wonder Woman 1984,
which was there was nothing 80s about that movie at all.
What do you mean? It took place in a mall. It was totally 1984.
Son of a bitch.
It was
nah, dude. In season 3, the older brother villain with the
he was great. That haircut, they
he was
80s.
His car was 80s. The music, everything around that guy.
So I like that. Yeah. Was it you that told me about that meme that said it might have
pumpkin pies tonight?
It said what? No, it was great. Yeah. It said so and so thinks it's the 80s, and it's this chick in leather pants and this giant neon sign, and she's got a mohawk, all this fucking big sunglasses and a fucking Tron grid behind her, and then it says it's actual 80s, and it's just an ashtray from McDonald's.
I like that, and it's right, but I also don't like it because the 80s was not a trashy ashtray from McDonald's, that's perfect.
When I saw the ashtray around,
absolutely,
that's
totally.
Right.
But that's not the 80s, man. That is from the 80s. That is the 80s.
It gave me the same feeling that Star Wars used to, when I was like, oh yeah, I remember Chewbacca. I remember when you could smoke at McDonald's.
That's awesome. That's weird, man.
We're getting to the bottom of the nostalgia, the 80s nostalgia.
Seriously, yeah, exactly. That's what that is. All right. So what? Season 4? When is that? You said?
In May, and they announced that season 5 will be the final season.
Oh wow! So they're already greenlit for 5. Interesting. Yep. Yeah, cool. I'm down. Yeah, the kids are getting a little old. I think.
I was gonna bring up that Foo Fighters thing too, but
what's that?
The Foo Fighters are doing a horror.
You just brought it up, so
I know. I in fact right before I was like, should I talk about that? No, I'm not gonna.
What is it?
But Dave, they're putting out a horror movie.
What do you mean?
It's called Studio 666.
And what do you mean? It's produced by the Foo.
It's I think it's written and starring the Foo Fighters. I know it's starring the Foo Fighters.
That's just the obvious next step for them, so it doesn't surprise me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they just do whatever they want to do.
Dave Grohl is making lasagna and commercials and stuff, so why not make a horror movie? That's cool.
But yeah, I don't know if I don't know when that's coming out or what, but I've just seen poster art.
Okay. All right. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Why don't we do it? Why don't we do a Foo Fighters horror movie watch next time you got news? We'll add it to the Rob Zombie list.
Maybe.
All
I
right.
mean, I'll bet that might have actually even come out already, but we'll see.
All right. One last thing before we get into the show, I wanted to. We could not mention the fact that we lost Ivan Reitman this week, the creator of Ghostbusters and many other things. But man, Ghostbusters. I would argue that you and me, our lives would not be what they are today.
They would be different without.
They would be different, man. And the world would be a different place. And I mean that so seriously. I'm not being funny or cynical. Ghostbusters 1984, you know, feel how you want about the franchise, but that movie specifically is such a massive just beacon of positivity and enjoyment in my life and in yours. The dude was a genius writer, creator, seemed like a really nice guy. He has a son who seems like I like the stuff that he's done.
Makes a lot of good movies.
Yeah. But man, Ivan Reitman, how old? He wasn't that old.
He was, I'm sorry, I've got him up right here. He was 75.
75.
Not that old.
Yeah, man, that's rough. It's
real bummer, man.
Yeah.
And he's, obviously Ghostbusters is the big nut, but he's got, and there's tons that are great. Like we were talking earlier about, or, just a solid filmography, like from Joe Dante. I mean, you've got Meatballs, Stripes, Twins is, Twins is a lot of just solid, good movie. Like just, that was a good movie. And I'm going to, Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Dave
Junior.
Junior, I don't think is as bad as everybody says.
No, it's not, dude. It's really not.
It was just a big shock. That was at like peak Arnold. And it was like, what is this shit? Even like 6 Days, 7 Nights, it's just a solid movie. And I just watched Draft Day the other day. And
really? I've never seen that.
It's really good, man. And I fucking hate football. I really? Hate football. I have no interest, and it's a really good movie.
Yeah. Legal Eagles. You ever see that?
No.
Great movie. It really is. Robert Redford, Daryl Hannah, and some other people. He directed that. That's a really good, like, I really enjoy 80s sort of, it doesn't have to, just like real life stories, or like, it doesn't have to be like sci-fi or whatever. Like, it just a solid 80s movie.
Yeah.
With Robert Redford.
That's like, Twins, man.
Yeah. Twins has that sort of like a shtick. It has a shtick, is what I'm saying. Like,
that's what, I feel like that's like Throw Mama from the Train is an 80s movie, is a shtick 80 movie. You know what I mean? Not to say that's an Ivan Reitman thing, but it's the same deal. It's a pitch.
Sure.
But man, yeah, Ivan Reitman, he was the fucking man. And he
my mom will shoot.
Did he do that?
Let's see. It's in his I
don't think he directed it. He might have produced that one.
Maybe he was a producer or something.
Yeah, he did My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But really? They can't all be winners, man.
No, sure. The point is that he made some stuff, man, that I really mean it. Like, the world would not be the same place without. And he's going to be a massive loss.
I think he was the one that brought Raymond, because I don't know if we talked about the original script of Ghostbusters, or the original, where like it took place in space and like they went back in time.
Yeah, he reeled him in.
Yeah, he brought in Ramus, and then the three of them made it what it was, and really got lightning in a bottle, man. You know,
absolutely. Which, that's a good way to put it, man. A lot of his movies, when you think of like Ghostbusters, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, like those three specifically, those are three movies that like anybody who has seen a comedy or like was alive during that time, like they're gonna be like, yeah, absolutely awesome comedy. Nobody's gonna dispute that.
Yeah, it's funny that Kindergarten Cop kind of slipped through the cracks. You know what I mean? Like, it's not for us. I watched it a million times growing up.
Yeah, and I don't agree, man.
It's iconic as fuck to me, but I don't.
It's not a tumor like that.
Yeah,
and penis vagina. Those two lines, man, are like I never, I don't think I've ever heard anything. It's not a tumor. I bet that's been quoted more than almost any line in history.
I wonder if
Not a
that's
tumor.
like, as a kid, that was more. I recognize that more than like, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Like that was,
yeah.
that was the line. But like, I don't know if no one talks about Kindergarten Cop anymore.
Well, now, especially because nobody talks
but
about
people
twins
still talk
either.
about Ghostbusters or Stripes.
But that's because Ghostbusters is arguably.
Ghostbusters.
It's Ghostbusters is in my top 3 of all time.
Yeah.
So
and Ghostbusters too. I like
great.
Ghostbusters too. Yeah, man. Really being able to focus, like figure. Yeah, man. He was great. You got Kindergarten Cop.
How cool is it though? How cool / ironic that he was able to get Ghostbusters 3 out. That just came out over the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's him. Like it's got him.
Well, what's
all
so
over
cool? We talked about this when we talked about the movie. Like, I wonder how much input he had, and then I wound up watching a bunch of interviews with Jason Reitman and everything, and he was right. He was literally sitting next to Jason Reitman the entire time.
Yeah, I don't doubt.
Like,
I don't doubt
and anything you wanted to ask him, he was like, it was, and it's a big that kind of, it's cool that they got Jason Reitman.
Yeah, his flavor is all over that. That's why I'll always see that movie as Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife, whatever you want to call it. But it's Ghostbusters 3, and it's because of him. It's got the feel. It fits, and to continue that through 35 years of filmmaking, from 84 to this point, with that concept and those characters, and then that aesthetic. He's just a genius.
Yeah, man. It's and
a true movie maker. Definitely be missed. So, with that, let us talk about werewolves. This is a werewolf week, and if you're not on the Patreon, you're missing out, because we watched Monsters, the old TV show from the 80s, and it was a werewolf in Hollywood episode. So go check that out. Just throwing that out, tie into the theme. 1981, The Howling, has always been one of my favorite werewolf movies ever made. And watching it this time around, I saw it, I saw different things. I saw new things. I was taking notes, so I was looking at it more critically. I still love the movie. I say it has a better transformation scene in it than American Werewolf in London. However, American Werewolf in London is the better movie. That's what I say. Now, me having said that, Kevin, I figured you out, dude. I can read you like a fucking open book. How much did you hate this movie?
I know I liked it. I liked it a lot.
See, there it is. You hated it. I can tell.
No, I did. I liked it. I liked it more. I watched it 3 times.
Oh,
again, I watched it once, just watching it. The second time, I think that's a big factor too, is that the second time I liked it way more, and then the third time I watched it with commentary.
Oh,
I wish I would have.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's 2 commentary tracks. If you get the new Blu-ray and the newer Blu-ray, and I listened to one of them, but the other one sounds interesting.
Okay. What's the second one?
It is Gary Brander, the guy that wrote the book, who notoriously not only doesn't really like the movie, Joe Dante's talked a bunch of shit about the book, and okay. He's come out publicly be like, fuck Joe Dante.
Wow.
He went to, apparently Joe Dante was giving a talk at some film school.
Yeah.
And they were asking him about it, and this guy was in the crowd and said, I heard you don't like the book. He was like, no, I don't really like the book. He was like, I wrote the book.
That's awesome. That's such an awesome dickhead.
I don't know if that really happened, but there's an account of that on, a couple film websites. But commentary track was good. But
all right, I texted you when I was watching it, and I was like, because I found my old DVD, and it's got tons of shit on it, and I'm still making my way through it. But one of the things was the commentary track that you probably also watched with Dante, Picardo, Dee Wallace, and isn't there a 4th person?
Christopher Stone.
Who's that?
That is not Tom Atkins.
Not Tom Atkins. Okay.
Which,
or
by the way,
Christopherson.
Is pretty. So I had to do a little detective work before we recorded because, well, so he was married to Dee Wallace in real life.
Not Tom Atkins was?
Yeah.
Okay.
and he's on the commentary track, but he died in October of 95.
Oh, no shit.
Which made me think, well, yeah, but I was like, well, why this DVD, and DVDs weren't around in 1995.
Oh, snap.
So what's going on? And then I was, well, how could that be? That date must be wrong. And then Laserdisc was a thing. Yeah, they recorded it for the Laserdisc.
Wow. Okay.
Laserdisc came out in July of 95.
And he died like that's like
died like 2 months later.
2 months later. Of what? Do you know?
Heart attack.
Fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. That's cool. Thanks, not Tom Atkins, for recording the Laserdisc before you died.
He was really good in this, man. I thought really he was good, you know.
So I'm curious, with what I was saying, I did not listen to the commentary track because I started the movie that way, and nothing against it. I'm going to watch it because I want to hear Picardo and Dee Wallace. I love them. But I noticed it started to shape my opinion on the movie in the first 5 minutes there, because they're like laughing and telling stories. And I was like, that's not what this movie, at least what I knew this movie to be. So I watched it regular first, and I'm going to go back with the commentary. But you're I'm trying to get into more commentary tracks. And
yeah, I actually just figured out a way to like do it much easier.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, so I'll be listening to them a lot more.
So you said you watched it 3 times, and on the second time you liked it more. What about on the first time did you not like?
It wasn't that I didn't like it. I wasn't really not invested in it. I think a lot of it, and I did like it the first time. And by the end, like the last 10 minutes of it is I loved. Like I really, really loved the last like 10, 15 minutes. So that kind of got me to, watch it again with the notes. But you know what it was? It was just not the movie I was expecting at all in the beginning. Yeah, it surprises me that I said this last week, but my grandmother was real excited to show me this movie when I was like 8 or 9. But like, and I never watched it because I was like, that sounds lame. I don't want to watch it. But like, I mean, she also
lame. A werewolf movie?
I don't know. The title just sounded lame, and maybe I don't remember what it was. But like, she also like showed me Porky's when I was a kid. Like, she thought that was funny.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she was, and I loved Porky's. I don't know if it holds up, but I used to love the Porky's movies,
sure,
as a kid. But the thing is, like, it reminded me of like, you ever seen Blowout with John Travolta?
Oh, Travolta, the original.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but yeah,
it reminded me of that. Like it the beginning's like artsy, and it's kind of it feels like a different movie.
Who directed that? Somebody.
Brian De Palma.
De Palma, yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is.
But it felt really like gritty and cool, and I was kind of into it, but it wasn't. And the other thing was, Picardo shows up in the beginning, and then isn't in it for a while, and I was like, and he seemingly dies. He comes back later, but I was like, is that all the Picardo? And this was I sold on?
No, I wouldn't, because remember I told you I thought his best role was this, and I still stand by that. And part of it is because of what his character that he got cast for, but also he's just this is a different Robert Picardo.
It's totally different. Like there's no charm, like the Robert Picardo charm is.
He's really young. He's like,
and he's a creep. I was half expecting. I mean, I'm so used to just charismatic Robert Picardo that, like, in the beginning,
where Star Trek bullshit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and even when he's a prick, like in Gremlins 2, like he still is like kind of charismatic, but like,
well, and he's like got this like really sweet demeanor to him. Just the guy, just himself.
I don't know what it is about him. I just love. But like the beginning, when he's all Hannibal Lecter on her, I for some reason in my head, I'm like, I bet that's not really him, or there's something like this is all a misunderstanding. like maybe he's a creep, but he's not a murderer. I don't know.
The setup to this movie, man, is like watching it this time around. Like I really paid attention, and I realized that I hadn't really paid attention to the nuance of the story, at least especially in the beginning. You've got this like Dee Wallace is this investigative
journalist,
and she's working for the station that's put her in this position that's like really ridiculous. Like she's out on the streets meeting with Eddie Quist, Robert Picardo's character.
She's been getting stalked, and they
Quist.
basically said, let's make a story into it and report it, but let's basically Chris Hansen it, where they put her out as bait and they but
it's stalked by a guy who's claiming to be this mangler, like this serial killer, and she decides to meet with him in a skin house or whatever the fuck you call them, like a nudie skin place.
Yeah, it's a you know, it's
a mom nudie skin. What do you call it?
It's a mom pop porno shop.
Yeah,
that's what they
mom and dad's.
You know what? That was a real porno shop in New York that they shot that in, and like she's really uncomfortable in this scene, and
dude, I would be.
She talks about that in the commentary, that she's like, no, I was that's all authentic. I was really uncomfortable being in there. I don't like being around like nudity and sex. Yeah. She had in her contract that like the sex scene that happens later in the movie.
Yeah.
Like
nudies.
That wasn't in the original script. And she had it written in her contract that they couldn't add any more sex. Like, cause she thought she was afraid it was going to be like a trashy, like fucking shitty werewolf movie.
Right.
And then they rewrote it, and I guess they were just like, well, fuck. And she's fun about it now, but like, yeah, she's like, I had it in my contract. You guys couldn't put any more sex scenes in.
Dude, I started watching the behind the making of, and that opening scene where we meet Eddie Quist in the booth, was shot exactly like it didn't look any different when they were shooting it. He's behind her, minimal light, that creepy, weird light from the projector. I would have been scared with knowing that I was filming a movie, and if I had like you with me, I would be freaked out. You know, it's like, especially if I had you with me, but like, you know, like it was just like
it's the kind of place I'd be hanging out in.
Yeah, it totally is. Totally is. Well, all right, real quick, I want to run through this cast. So directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins fame.
Gremlins
1 and 2.
Matinee.
What was that? What did you just say?
No, I just said Matinee, The Burbs.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah,
really good.
A whole lot of really great stuff.
Dee Wallace, Robert Picardo, John Carradine, old school hammer guy. Slim Pickens plays the cop he plays the cop in this, also from Doctor Strangelove or Why You Should Love the Atomic Bomb, whatever the fuck it's called. Not Tom Atkins or Chris Christopherson. What's his name?
Christopher Stone.
Christopher Stone, rest in peace. You're awesome. And then check this out. Denny Dugan. You know Denny Dugan? He's the hero at the end.
Yeah.
So my mom went to high school with this dude, and she knew him pretty well. It's funny. Like she went to high school with like him and Belushi, and weird connections. Anyway, I've always enjoyed this dude. He's like an everyman kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like him in this. He's awesome. But Dee Wallace, man, I just got to say, like, she is awesome. She is.
Yeah, she kills it in this, man. She's really good.
Awesome. I love her. She's in fucking Rob Zombie movies, isn't she?
No, I don't think so.
Is she not?
She's a really like. She's kind of.
Doesn't she get killed in one of the Halloween movies, the remakes?
No, not that I know of. I mean, she's like a prude. She doesn't do stuff like.
Huh. Sorry, Dee. I know you're listening. He means that in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, not. Yeah, I mean, you know, but she's
respectable.
Yeah, she's respectable. She doesn't. You know, it seems she seems very. I don't know, proper. You know,
proper.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's amazing. This, and then our boy, Mr. Futterman,
Dick Miller, man.
I forgot he was funny. In it. I forgot he was in it.
Well, when oh my god, how much when dude showed up at the beginning, Dracula. What
Carradine?
Yeah, when Carradine showed up, I thought it was Dick Miller, and I was like, all right, there's Dick Miller, and I was like, oh wait, oh, that's not Dick Miller. I was like, is he in this? And then like good chunk of the movie goes by before he shows up. I'm like, oh, there he is.
Dude, he's got that awesome monologue when he's talking about what he has in the store, and then he leads up to the silver bullets.
He's my favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, like that scene.
Dude, there's so much awesome stuff. Not to take anything away from him. Like,
it's not my favorite scene in the movie, but it's my favorite part in that it's like it's an exposition dump. You know, like they've got to do some catching up and explain the deal. They do it in a really like creative way. Like, I really like that he runs this shop like full of, you know,
a cult,
cursed
like
cursed
cult,
books, and he's read them all. He knows them all, but he also doesn't believe it. What am I, an asshole? No, I'm trying to make a buck. By the way, that's a good. If you want to know about silver bullets, this. You know what? What's the other werewolf movie? It's been eaten at me. Where
I know it.
They're watching the Wolfman the whole
shit, I don't know.
And that scene where they use that scene from the Wolfman, from the Lon Chaney Wolfman, to explain, to explain like the rules of the werewolf. There's another werewolf movie like that.
It could be. I mean, but you haven't seen Silver Bullet.
No,
right?
I haven't seen. So it's one that I've seen a million times, and I can't place it, and it's driving me nuts.
Interesting. Maybe is it the Wolfman, 1930, Lon Chaney Jr.?
Well, no, they wouldn't be referencing like that.
I'm saying maybe you've seen that a million times, and that's what you're thinking of.
No, what I mean is like the characters in the movie are watching the Lon Chaney Wolfman movie in another movie. Yeah, but they're not watching it in. No, they're not. No, that's not how those movies work. But yeah, man,
that's not how those movies work.
I really dug. But what I meant earlier in that, like, I'm glad I didn't see it as a kid.
Really?
Because I don't think I would have liked it. I don't know. Really? Yeah, because it's not. If you would have sold it to me as a werewolf movie when I was like 10, I don't think I would have liked it because the werewolf shit doesn't happen until a good chunk of the movie, and it's very adult. Like it's a very adult movie.
Yeah,
it's a lot of like she's having like post-traumatic shit because of this thing, and it's a lot of like, and even like I think that didn't sit with me well the first, and it's not even like it, but I think it was like her therapist is the entire movie is basically her therapist being like, you're having these flashbacks. Why don't you come to this, it's not an island, but like this retreat with me with all my other patients. And I remember just being like, that's weird.
Yeah.
It
is. It's very weird. but it also like within the story, it makes total sense. It's almost like a werewolf farm where he's werewolves.
Once I knew that everybody
like a Dr.
in town
Moreau
is a werewolf, I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, now I'm good.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't put that together the first time that like, oh, clearly everybody here is a werewolf. Like they're all weird and
there's no reason to. There's no reason right off the bat. I mean, it seems pretty
well, they're all clearly hiding something.
Yeah.
Like Carradine flips out at one point and he wants to like kill himself, and he's like, I'm tired of it, I just want it to end. And they're like, oh, he's drunk again, don't worry about him. Like they're all clearly high, and
but that's pretty freaky, man. Like this movie does a great job of setting up the question, like the suspenseful question in your mind, like what the fuck is going on, from the get-go, with like that Quist scene in the beginning and just this like super eerie, like you said, like it's a very adult. I don't know what as a kid I latched onto so well. I guess maybe just once you get the visuals,
probably because they stand out, and that's what you remember from the movie. But it takes a while to get there, and it's fine. I mean, I enjoyed it. I shouldn't say it's fine, like, oh, whatever. I mean, I was really enjoying the regular movie.
I was worried about when I realized that at some point I was like, man, he's gonna look at this like children shouldn't play with dead things, and be like, the zombies were only in the last 10 minutes or whatever. And
well, no, like, because the difference is this movie's good. I'm on board for it. And the werewolves, they don't show up till later. And they also, once they're in it, you know. And there's a lot of really cool stuff. There's the stuff with the morgue. There's a lot of like there, and the husband, he's changing into a werewolf throughout the movie, and it's solid. And they do a really good job of like balancing that. There's like lore, and there's a lot of stuff that we're not told, but that's fine,
Yeah.
Where I feel like now you'd have to kind of explain a lot more. Basically, all they do in this is like, yep, you need silver bullets to kill them.
Yeah.
And here's some. somebody ordered them and never picked them up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you ever seen I'm sure they exist. Have you ever seen a shop like this?
Yeah. And I as I said that, as you were saying that, I pictured it. There used to be one in the city and I forgot what it was called.
Really?
Yeah. It was just old occult books. I don't even know if it's still around.
I would totally check something like that out, even with all my suspicions or whatever. So, all right. So I don't know. As I was taking my notes, I was like, I took more notes on this probably than I should have. But as I was going through, I was like, how do you, there's something about this movie. It's like, how do you talk about this movie? Like, do you dissect it cause it's a very psychological movie, and the characters that are in it are like, they're like just so like mentally thought provoking. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're real fleshed out, and they're real. It's funny listening to the commentary. Joe Dante, you see how he wound up becoming like the film, like the way he watches this and points things out. Like he says something that's like, he tries to jam humor into his movies, because if you don't do it, like the audience is going to do it for you. So you better like make it intentional. And like there's funny things in this movie too, but like it's a little, I don't know, it's weird. It feels like a Brian De Palma movie, and then the werewolves show up. Like it's really like, it's a lot. When I say less fun, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like it's less fun than American Werewolf.
I agree with that. American Werewolf has like a lot of tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it's written as a comedy, like made by John Landis, even though it's got horrific stuff and gruesome stuff and serious stuff. It's, the main transformation is with what, CCR, right? Music playing over it. So it's like you can only take it so seriously, and that's its moment. And when you look at this movie's moment, when Eddie Quist is changing, like it's an entirely terrifying thing. I don't know. We'll get to that later, because I really want to talk about that scene specifically, obviously. But Eddie Quist is a character. Like, what did you, being such a big Picardo fan, like how did he make you feel? Like, where do you stand on it?
I mean, creepy. That was the thing. Like, he was a really good, I mean, the guy's just got range. Like he didn't feel like, any of the cool, fun characters, he felt like a creep, man. He felt like a Buffalo Bill type character.
Did you get like a young punk vibe off of him?
A little bit. Yeah.
He's pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably 81. I don't know how old he is, but yeah, he's
at least the character that he's playing is, Eddie Quist. There were scenes when you actually when he's not in the shadows or whatever, when he's actually there and he's talking. I was like, man, this Eddie Quist is like, I don't know. He's just such an iconic villain to me, that when I was watching it this time around, I was like, wow, he's kind of just a kid who's.
Yeah. And he's really not in it that much. I mean, he's in it in the beginning, and, but they spend a lot of time talking about him.
His character, his character like looms over the whole movie.
And that was the other thing that I didn't notice till the second time, that, I've drawn a blank on her name, the nympho, like wolf lady.
And the hippie gypsy lady, whatever. Hippie
and gypsy. Then the one real like straggly guy, they're supposed they're his siblings. I didn't pick up on that till the second time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
That was the thing that, like, I think was kind of a hanging thread for me the first time, was like, well, why was he, what's the, like, that was the other thing. I thought it was going to be one werewolf. It turned out to be a bunch of them, which was cool. Why was he in the city? Like, what, did he get away? Was he like,
well, that's kind of the character that I was talking about, of this young punk, like somebody of his age, Eddie Quist. He doesn't want to be on this colony island weird thing. He wants to be in the city. And that's, I think, like, he obviously was the mangler that they were investigating. I don't know if they officially say that or what, but I'm sure he was. And so he's this, for whatever reason, he was one of the doctor's patients. And for whatever reason, he went to the colony, became a werewolf, and was like, probably like, I've got all this power and whatever. I'm going to go back to the city and do my thing and just be crazy. And he did that. And which was unlike any of the other werewolf characters in the movie, I think. And,
I got the sense, that's the other thing, is there's so much to fill, and you do it, you do headcanon right away. Like, I got the sense they had been on that island or wherever it was for, decades, you know?
Sure.
And they were just kind of doing their own
Secluded.
thing. Yeah. And yeah,
well,
but then
one of
when
them
they needed
mentions
to bring someone in, you know,
one of, there's a conversation, I think towards the end, is it, where they're like, where they're in the barn and they're like, you said, they're talking to the doctor, like, you said we could come out or we could go, or like we could mix in, or whatever the fuck he said, to society, basically. And then they have that quick debate about feeding on cattle, feeding on humans. Humans are the cattle, and all this stuff. So yeah, I think you're right. They've totally been, at the doctor's advice, I think, secluded on this at the colony for so long. And that's why they find those dead cows throughout, like Dee Wallace finds them with her friend. I don't know. It's a really interesting dynamic for a werewolf movie.
Yeah. And I like that, like it would be interesting if it weren't called The Howling. Well, then again, like you get a sense that he's a werewolf right away. But like, I mean, if it was just called whatever, some other thing, and it wasn't famous for being a werewolf movie, it's kind of cool that it doesn't sneak up on you. Like they lean into it, there's obvious howling and everything else, but and it's not Dusk Till Dawn, where it's just they're vampires now. But
yeah,
I wonder how many people went and saw this and were like, oh, this is a cool, gritty movie. And then like, you know what I mean? Like that no, I don't think anybody, I mean,
you were surprised by the werewolves, you mean?
I don't think anybody was surprised. I take that back.
I think they absolutely marketed this as,
I
mean, like your Dusk Till Dawn example, that was not marketed as a vampire movie. Like it was a complete surprise. It was marketed as like a gangster kind of road trip movie. But this, I think, was absolutely like, come see our werewolf movie. I mean, look at the poster.
Yeah. And I mean, the name of the movie is The Howling. That's funny. Yeah. Funny little thing. The opening title sequence where it says The Howling, they made that for the trailer, and Joe Dante didn't like it. And they were like, we're going to save some money. We're just going to put that right there.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
We're not going to do a second one.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It has an independent vibe to it. Like
it does.
Joe Dante very much, I mean, it seems like this is his attitude, is like, I'll make it for cheap if you leave me alone. Like, and like, he doesn't take studio notes. Just like it's cool. There's scenes like where the scene where Dee Wallace is talking to her therapist, they're like laughing at it when they're watching it, because they're like, remember that wasn't even a real set. Like they were both standing in front of like a false wall, like that we just had to keep moving, or there's only two walls here. Like, I mean, they really did like, and there's a lot of scenes in this movie too, that like the scene where they go hunting, that was supposed to be another scene, and it required special effects. The special effects weren't ready, so they had to come up with something else. And that scene is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. I was actually just looking at my notes on that scene. Yeah. Because it was so awesome how the elaborate ruse that was going on for just these two people, Dee Wallace and her husband are the only new people to the colony in our story here. And every single person in the colony, in the town, the sheriff, everyone is in on this ruse.
Yeah.
To what? Like to grow the colony?
I don't know, because that's the thing. Like when they're gonna turn her, they're not like they're not all into it. Like, don't they just want to kill her?
Yeah, like they kill her friend. They just kill her.
Yeah, they just kill the friend.
So it's like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you just running out of cows?
I don't think they want more people in the colony, I don't know. Yeah.
But they don't, they also don't kill them. They could have killed him at any moment,
Yeah.
like
at
the beach. So there's, I don't know. It's weird that they don't go into that. Like, what is the motive behind this huge elaborate ruse and keeping these people here? I mean, they turned the dude, which I think was part of the plan.
Well, and the other thing husband. That kind of, and that's a thing that
not Tom Atkins,
that sometimes kind of fucks with me with werewolf movies, is that because if you don't establish it, you don't know how much control do they have as a werewolf. Like, is it like American Werewolf in London where they black out, wake up, and like I don't remember anything? Or is it like Twilight where they're just like, hey, I'm a wolf now, but I'm completely fully like conscious of I have the same consciousness as I had 5 minutes ago.
Well, throughout this movie, I think we see werewolves in the daylight. We see werewolves doing whatever they want. And then later on in the movie, they establish, somebody says, or it's voiceover or something, that we can change whenever we want.
Yeah. And I dug that.
I love that. I love
Nick Miller
too.
says that. Like he says they're not actually werewolves, they're shapeshifters.
Okay.
Which is,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. That's what it was. And we see, the brother chases that chick. That chick just has a terrible day. He chases her around the house, and then Quist changes, in the middle of the day, just like he does it twice. He's like, the first time with Dee Wallace, the second time, or the first time with the friend, the second time with Dee Wallace. He's like, watch, I want to show you this. But so what did you, I think something that stuck with me and sticks with me still is the girl, the friend, Denny Dugan's girlfriend. I forget the character's name. So she makes it to the island. She's doing some investigating, or the colony. She's doing some investigating. And this day it's really fucking sucks. But like, so she's snooping around the hippie chick's apartment, and the brother ends up going after her as a werewolf. We never see him in full. We just see him shaking doors and stuff. But and then his arm busts through and she chops it off. So this scene, man, was where as a kid I was like terrified, like, and still it holds up, man. I really I'll stand behind it. Like this scene is this events of scenes unfolding as he's stalking her is like, and it's during the day. And this is something that it's pretty unique to werewolf movies, I think. I mean, did you? Yeah. So you dug it. Like
I dug that. That thing about that scene was great. When she chopped off the arm, and then the arm looked great. I'm not sure. I know they talk about it in the commentary. If it's some of it's a real arm, a lot of it is a lot. They only had one suit. They only had one werewolf costume and like two. Yeah, they had one mask and like two arms, like and like a body piece. Yeah, and that was it. And they had to keep reusing it. That's like cool. For all, and that's what's cool is when they all change at the end. That's all the same. It's just they did camera tricks to make it look like
really
there were more than one there.
Yeah, the only time we see multiple werewolves is the stop motion at the end.
Right.
Yeah, which is awesome.
But yeah, I thought it was, and again, it was a really good movie. It was like Interview with the Vampire. It's like we're gonna make a real vampire movie, or werewolf movie. Like it doesn't have to be stupid. Right.
Absolutely. That's why I love this movie. It's like it's almost like what zombies have become. Werewolf movies just kind of started that way, where it was like, all right, we're going to do some scares, but ultimately it's dumb and it's for laughs.
There's no point in the movie where they have to like acknowledge that it's stupid.
Right.
Which happens a lot in these movies.
Maybe that's kudos to the book. I don't know. I haven't read the book, but I'm guessing.
Well, what's kind of funny is the book. So the guy that wrote it wrote The Howling 2, like because he was pissed
which is
this.
A completely different. Have you seen Howling 2?
No. Well, I have, but that was only once when I was younger,
right,
and that's why I thought that it was Howling 1, which is why I always thought Howling 2. Okay, I don't remember anything about it except I didn't like it. Did you know the original title? Like, it's listed as two different titles in a bunch of places.
2 or the Howling?
Howling 2. Some places it's called Your Sister. Not tagline, but the rest of the title is
subtitle
is Howling 2. Your Sister's a Werewolf. But in other places, it's called Howling 2 Werewolf Bitch. Which is what,
So the Howling 2 is famous for, I don't know the woman's name who plays the main, she's like a werewolf queen. And she has this like, it has, I feel like there's mentions of the first movie, maybe in the beginning, but I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with this movie. And it's set out in somewhere and whatever. And she's like this queen of these werewolves, and I think somebody's visiting and they go after him, whatever. But it's famous for the end credits where there's a scene in the movie where she from what I remember, no apparent reason at all, her top busts open, and this woman is famous for her tits and I think she might have been a porn star. I don't know. But like the end credits is that scene on repeat as the credits are rolling.
What?
It's absolutely bananas, and like
that's nuts.
Yeah, it makes no sense, man. And that's what that movie is famous for. There's like 4 or 5 Howling movies, and they all just sort of degrade as they go along.
One funny thing, and they talk about this a little in the commentary. They change so much of the book that like it's like for this movie that it's that for the Howling 4, they just did the book. Like they were like,
the
no,
first book, like the real book,
like the book. Yeah. The Howling 4.
So they came back around.
They basically did like how it's, like when Stephen King did his version of The Shining, he's like, no, we're going to make it close to the whatever.
Yeah.
That's what Howling 4 is. Howling 4 is just whatever happens in the book. Like it's a much closer adaptation of the book.
That makes me want to watch it again because I've seen them all, but it's like, it's been 2 decades probably.
I wonder if the book's any good. I mean, there's so much talk of the book, like I wonder if it was a real popular book before it got made or if it was just, you never know.
Yeah, but then again, this movie is so good. Like it's written so well. I wonder what the book, if they deviated from the book that much. And I think about that. And Howling 4 is the book. Then, like, I wonder. Makes me wonder. So back to this chick and her bad day. After she gets attacked by the brother, she escapes by chopping his arm off. Awesome transformation with the arm, back to a human, which was it. I don't know. It just mind boggling.
It looks great. I mean, it looks.
But I love when he's attacking, and she's like in this little shed. She makes her way into this little shed, and he's like doing what a dog does. Like the behavior of whoever's acting in there is straight up dog behavior, and he's like clawing at the fucking boards of the shed and ripping them apart, and then he puts his hand in and she chops it off. Just I didn't notice that until this time, how like that's exactly how a dog does that thing, that behavior. So then she escapes from there to the doctor's office where she's looking for the doctor. She calls Denny Dugan. She's like, I don't even think she tells him like I was just attacked by a werewolf. She's just like saying like, she's just crying, and he's like, well, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, go over to the cabinet, look under Quist and see if he's got any files on the Quist family. And it turns out Quist, the hippie chick, and the brother, they're all related. They're all siblings, which I didn't pick up on until this time. It makes me wonder, like, their story. I feel like maybe they are the original. I don't know. Maybe I want to say like maybe they're the original werewolves, because I'm guessing you don't age very much. Like wherever you turn, I wonder if it's like a vampire wherever you turn. So the old guy, Carradine, turned as an old guy and was like, probably like when he tried to throw himself in the fire, was like thinking,
I'm tired of being an old man.
Why couldn't I have been turned as a young guy? I'm wondering if they were the original werewolves. I don't know.
I mean, she seems like she's been around a long time, and that, it's so funny too. Like they're just like, when she's introduced, somebody else tells them like, oh yeah, she's a nymphomaniac. And then like the next scene that you see her in, it's Chris Stone shows up. Don't they say like, oh, he shoots a rabbit, and they're like, oh yeah, bring it to her. She'll she'll cook it. And she immediately is just like, yep. She tries to fuck him.
Yeah, she's like, fuck this rabbit.
Jesus. Yeah. They're like, whoa, dude.
Totally.
And that's the other thing, man. Like that. I mean, again, I saw Porky's as a kid. I wasn't, I was exposed to a lot, but that sex scene's pretty raw, man. Like,
well, that doesn't come till later. In this one that you're talking about, dude, not Tom Atkins is like, whoa, I'm married, fuck off, and he's out of there.
That's the other thing is it was really, so that's what I mean about like not understanding where they're at with their like, is it like, okay, eventually I'm comfortable with being a werewolf and I kind of have some control, or is it because as he's changing, he's getting more like aggressive. He's getting more like okay, like he smacks her. He smacks Dee Wallace at one point in the movie.
Yeah.
And do you think that was like,
oh, you're talking about, okay.
Do you think that it was because he's changing, or
I think I mean, I gotta, like, all right, put myself in there. Testosterone is off the wall. Like, just boom. And that's why also it's a kind of a theme, man, in most werewolf movies that like, and it makes sense. Dogs a lot of times like hump anything if you let them. in some of them. All right. And it's typical dog behavior. So it makes sense that that carries over into this werewolf society or whatever. But it's also in, I mean, that's like I was talking about Howling too. That's that whole movie throughout the whole movie.
I mean, yeah, it is. You do get the sense that like, yeah, his animal
testosterone, aggressiveness.
He can't contain it. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
even that's a really cool thing about that sex scene is that like, it doesn't feel like a choice. You know what I mean? He doesn't feel brainwashed, but he doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like he's screwing anybody over. It's like he's
instinct.
Yeah. He's exactly.
They really nailed, I'm saying like, that's what I'm saying. Like they really nailed dog behavior, canine,
and
whatever behavior.
They really nailed like he could have they had to really walk a line with him. You know what I mean? Like he's not a villain. Like when he dies at the end, you feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's
weird that I was wondering where he went. I was like, where the fuck did he go? Like, cause he disappears for the entire end of the movie. And then he just reappears as one of the werewolves attacking the car in the back seat. We don't see his face. You know,
what I really liked about it. Yeah. Well, you see his tattoo.
Yeah.
And she says his name, but like
it's almost like he dropped out of filming at some point and they had to just like quick write him. I don't know.
Well, what I dug is I didn't even notice they disappeared because every scene with like, you know, where someone's fighting a werewolf, most of them, you don't know which werewolf it is.
Sure.
You know, which is a cool thing. I mean, they do that in a lot of werewolf movies. I think they do that with American Werewolf in Paris, where
it's always a mystery.
Like, well, it's like werewolf? A switcheroo. Like, oh no, she bit me. Oh, it wasn't him, or you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
Because he can't tell werewolves apart.
Right.
Except in this one, we'll get into that with the ending, but
right.
Which, by the way, man, yeah, like I said, I love the last 15 minutes of this movie.
Sure.
I thought, yeah. But yeah, if you continue,
back with the chick and she's going through the Quist files. Like, did you notice she pulls the file out and she's reading it, and then the werewolf grabs the. It's Eddie Quist. At this point, it's Eddie Quist, who's like.
There were a couple of things. Yeah.
Number one, how did you not see the werewolf standing there? And number two, how did he get in there without you noticing that he was there?
He also like backhands her. Like it's not like it's one like, you know, the other, you know, how you were talking about how like dogs do whatever. The other one was acting very animal like. The Eddie Quist one, he's on, you know, he's standing on 2 feet. He's basically like fist fighting. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And,
but it works.
This chick. And I mean, I'm not complaining about the scene. I'm just saying like, what was the thought process there? Because it's obviously not well thought out, but the scene works as far as being creepy and scary and oh shit, the werewolf's right there in the room. And then her death is like this really slow. He's like holding her up in the air by like the neck or whatever. And he like just kind of leans in almost like he's going to kiss her or something and just like nibbles on her neck. And that's it. It's like,
that's it. Yeah. It reminded me of,
we see her later and she's like half eaten, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah. That was great. That was a great shot too. When it was like, you know, and you know what I like too is like, you know, all the characters in this aren't Ken. Like I didn't know if she was going to die. Like, you know, other movies, like, you know, the characters show up and you're like, okay, well, we're going to knock these off one by one. And, you know, what's his name? The other guy, you know, he makes it through the whole movie, you know, and he's not, but,
Dugan. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't, I bet on like another rewrite, they would have just combined, because you've got the couple that are like out Scooby-Dooing, like investigating the thing. And then you've got Dee Wallace and not Tom Atkins. And I'm surprised they weren't just like, let's just trim the fat and make it one couple.
I kind of like it how it is.
I'm not criticizing.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
You know,
it would be, I think it would be a typical, in a worse movie, it would be a typical consolidation of characters. But the fact that you get the two and how her death, the Scooby-Doo chick, lends to Dee Wallace's further, like the whole movie, Dee Wallace is just spiraling like mentally.
Yeah, it's really cool that she thinks she's going crazy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, totally. And I think, you know, especially when she dude, I wrote it down. Like when she comes back, like eventually Dee Wallace makes it back into after not Tom Atkins smacks her and she's like, all right, I'm out of here. She goes to the doctor's office and she finds her friend dead there. And her reaction when she, she's like, she walks in, she literally goes, well, what happened here? And then she's looking around and she finds her friend. Her reaction to finding her is awesome. It's like, it's not terror screaming. She's just kind of like, she's like, oh my gosh. And she like stops and looks away. And it's very subtle, but it's also, you can see like cracking, like her mental cracking.
Yeah.
Her mental state cracking.
She's great. I'm surprised she wasn't a bigger actress. I mean, I know she did a lot of movies around this time. She did Cujo, which Christopher Stone is also in.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, obviously E.T. and she's another big one. Yeah, yes. She's in E.T. She's the mom in E.T.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad.
And then
I always confuse her with Christmas Story mom in their early roles. Christmas Story mom was Close Encounters. I always like mix up Dee Wallace. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
But man, she's great. And everybody's really good in this. I mean, it is. It's like a real movie. And you know what's funny is like Joe Dante usually walks the line between like not schlock, but like, like a little wink to be like, yeah, this is he's dead. I've never seen Piranha, and this really made me want to watch Piranha.
Piranha's good, man. I recently watched
that.
I had never seen it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's, for what it is.
And this got him Gremlins.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a line right around somewhere towards this area. It goes back to Dick Miller, and that's when he has his monologue about that leads to the silver bullets. And he says, I forget what the line is, but he says, a cockroach.
Yeah. No, he says something about he's talking about killing werewolves. And he says, yeah, you can't get rid of them. You gotta.
Oh yeah.
It's right before he says he doesn't believe in any of this shit either. He's like, you gotta get, they're worse than a cockroach. Yeah, he says something like that.
The way he says it though, he's like a cockroach. Or it's just like rolls out. That dude, I'd love to go backwards, do a deep dive on some of his older stuff.
It's crazy that he's always just like the janitor in Chopping Mall, or there's no like Dick Miller like there's nothing where he's I think there's some Twilight Zones where he's got a bigger part.
Yeah, there are.
But like, there's where he's
just kind of a small character.
Yeah, Gremlins, he's got, a little bit meatier of a role, but he's still barely a supporting character.
Well, his biggest role, man, I would say is Demon Knight. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I just remember him being like having a lot of focus.
He even was doing the same shit. I mean, he just died last year. And
really?
Yeah, it was last year or the year before. I think it was while we were doing the podcast. But he did like the one-off janitor role like his whole career, like into his 80s,
Chopping Mall. It's exactly what he was.
And you talk about, and even like on the Demonite commentary, they talk about like they were just pumped they got Dick Miller. They were like, you think he'd do it? Holy shit. And then when they got him, they beefed up the part, and he's I don't know what it is about him, man. He just, maybe it's because I watched Gremlins a million times as a kid, but like he just has this like thing, this like draw to him. You know what I mean? Like Picardo does.
Yeah. They have very similar like parallel careers almost.
Like you just remember them,
Yeah, the character. It shows what they're good at. They do what they're good at this thing they do.
They're just great character actors, man.
So I'm looking at my notes on your favorite scene, the sex scene. It is a very weird scene. It works in all the ways that you said, like it's almost like based off instinct, but as far as the behavior of the characters and like once they start to change, you get that. I don't know if was it this or was it the Patreon podcast we were talking about? It was the Patreon podcast talking about the mouth effect.
Yeah.
Like you see it really here in a big way, which doesn't bother me as much as it did in the Patreon, in the Monsters episode that we talked about, where it's like that sort of mid change. All right, just put these in your mouth. Like it's still
you've got the teeth,
actor.
but your face hasn't exactly.
Right.
You're not a puppet yet,
right?
You know.
But I dig it, man, and it's like really, it's really creepy. There's a couple times where the dude howls, turns and howls up at the whatever while they're doing it, and he's just in that weird mid change, early change part of the werewolf changing, and it just works. It still holds up. It's
everything
great.
about that scene works, man. Where it's not even like it. I don't know. It feels so primal, and it's cool, man. Like that. Yeah.
Even by the end, where it's like cartoons, like it turns into cartoons, basically.
Oh yeah.
When
they ran out of money. He talks about that on the commentary. He's like, we didn't have the money to
show, but they didn't even need to show that, where it just pans out and you see the fire and they're laying next to it, but they're fully changed now.
Yeah, it's like a silhouette.
Cartoons. It's weird.
Yeah, they wanted to do stop motion, but he was like, we didn't have the money.
I dig it. I like that.
Yeah, it works. It gives it character,
because this movie doesn't. That's the only scene with cartoons, and there's only one scene with stop motion, and the fact that there's just those two scenes and they're not either both stop motion or both cartoon.
What's the other stop motion?
I'm saying, like, this is a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then at the end it's stop motion.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something.
So I think it's cool that they didn't do both scenes like both scenes stop motion or both scenes cartoon. The fact that it's two different effects styles is really cool, because it's like, you don't look back at this movie and go, oh, that's the one with the cartoon werewolves. No. And you don't
if you blink, you'll miss it.
Stop motion werewolves. It's not that either. It's just that's what they wanted to use or had to use or decided to use in that scene. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's very unique.
And they talk about that a lot in the thing that like that he works best with restrictions. Like
Dante?
we need. Yeah, like, okay, well, we don't have the money to do this, or we only have one werewolf suit, so figure it out.
That's crazy to me. That's really cool.
Like shit like that. Like he hey, we can't, like, and that's the other thing. That's why I don't know if I think you'll like the commentary, but he does a lot of criticizing of it. There's a lot of, he points out plot holes, or he points out like, that doesn't, all I see is that, like, he points out a lot of like little errors and shit. And but he loves it. He likes it a lot. Dick Miller said this is his favorite movie to this day.
That he's done. Been in?
Out of all of his movies,
really?
This is his favorite. It's
a cool character, that he plays.
But what was I going to say though about that? He points out, fuck, I forgot.
I feel like the stop motion and the cartoon scenes are kind of, I don't know if they became like a staple to Dante's style, but you see that in Gremlins too. Like there's the scene where like they all, is it where they come out of the pool and they all gather in the street and there's this one street
it's all
light,
stop motion.
But then again, when they're in the movie theater and they're coming at the screen and it's just silhouettes, it's cartoon.
Yeah.
That's really, I wonder if that's like Dante's like, all right, I'm going to put one
he just shows restraint
and one scene where it's stop motion.
Well, you just because if you overdo it, it's, like
exactly.
It
becomes
you can and I'm sure he knew back then, like, rotoscoping or, stop motion does stick out and it works, and you have to do a little headcanon. Like in Terminator, you've got the stop motion robot skeleton, but it works because it's kind of like, well, maybe that's how he moves. But you also know that, no, that's stop motion, like all day, but it works for that. If it was,
I've never heard anyone complain about that scene in Terminator.
No, I mean, it looks great. It's creepy. It's whatever, but if it was that thing, the whole movie, it might not work. And that's when it's like cheese. That Terminator scene, there was no other way to do that. No, you could do a cartoon. It's either a cartoon or stop motion, but there was no other way to do that really and make it look like a silver metallic skeleton that's walking around. But it's still, what I mean is it still works,
right?
Because you're like, it's a machine and it's falling apart at that point. Like they've, they kind of, the limitations of the technology are written into the scene.
Absolutely. And everywhere else in the movies, and this one included, they did the best they could. So it wasn't like they relied on that effect throughout. It was like, oh, here we can do practical, do it. Gremlins, we can do practical here, do it. There we can't. There it's got to be stop motion.
Yeah.
There
We need a wide shot, and
exactly.
Yeah, like
Terminator, we can't do it, but when it's close up, practical, do it. And that's a good director, man. And that's where Joe Dante, or James Cameron on Terminator, regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time. Joe Dante, you say his name, nobody knows Joe Dante unless you're a fan of his movies or you're in the horror community, whatever it is. But he's not a household name. Man, that guy should get way more credit than
he should. I mean, he's got a streak, man, that most directors don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some not mediocre. I think mediocre is the wrong word. Like his filmography, like there's some that aren't, they're not all Gremlins, they're not all this,
that's
awesome. But like Interstellar is a fucking solid movie.
Awesome movie, man.
Or not Interstellar, Interspace.
Interspace, yeah.
And I was doing that before Interstellar came out. I used to always call it Interstellar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But like, Matinee, and what's the other one he did? Matinee is have you ever seen that one? Which I have
not seen that. I
think that one's right up your alley.
You always say that.
I think you'll like it. It's about it. And part of it is like a true, I want to say that was one of the first, I think I've seen the commentary on that. I don't remember. It might have just been seen a bunch of interviews on, but like John Goodman plays this guy who, and this is true. They used to have movie theaters in the 50s where there'd be a show where it's like, hey, I've got this movie, and they'd roll into town, and then he'd hook up a bunch of special effects and shit in the actual theater. So that like, when the alien comes out, they'd have a guy in an actual alien suit jump out and like run around in the theater, or like it would rain in the movie and they'd have it rigged up to rain or like shit like that. And I don't want to get into what happens in the movie, but it's a cool movie. It's underrated. It's definitely one that like, no one remembers. And it was one of the first ones I went and saw in theaters. And I felt like besides like Ninja Turtles or something, where I was like, I want to see that. And I'm going to, you know what I mean? And I made someone take me to it.
Was that like late 80s?
I want to say it's like 91. It might be 92.
All right. Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, old John Goodman, around that time, like the
King Ralph,
the Roseanne era.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like that kind of John Goodman. Now I can't look at him because he's lost too much weight. It looks weird.
No, he's still fat.
Is he?
Yeah. He's never gotten to like, you see, I mean, he's lost weight, but he's still fat guy skinny.
He's a big dude. He's just a big dude.
Yeah, but he's never like, have you seen, who Ethan Suplee is?
Yeah.
Have you seen him lately?
No. Is he look like Ryan Reynolds or something?
Yeah. I mean, have you seen, he's in that new movie Dog with Channing Tatum.
Yeah. You saw that? Is that already out?
No, I don't think it comes out this week, but Ethan Suplee, he was on Joe Rogan, and I was like, that you got to look up what Ethan Suplee looks like.
All right. All I have in my brain is Mallrats.
Yeah, I mean Mallrats, American History X, like.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Matinee's 93.
Okay, let's talk about the transformation. Eddie Quist. So
yeah,
Dee
Wallace.
All right, so this is by far the centerpiece or whatever of the movie, and Dee Wallace finds the friend on the table, covered up in a sheet. Pulls it back, and oh my god, she's dead. Terrible. She like turns around to like gather her thoughts and like check the phone or whatever she does, and turns back, and the sheet sits up. Am I remembering this right? And it's Eddie Quist.
It sits up.
And Eddie Quist, another one of those scenes where it's normally it's a lot of movement, like, but somehow he magically appears and the woman is off to the side, and it's like, all right. Who cares?
It's not as bad as like the Ghoulie scene where they're at the kitchen table and it's like, how the fuck does anybody see that? Like, it's dark. It's fine. That's not even the most unbelievable thing in this movie.
I picked up on it this time around, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a werewolf in here shuffling around bodies, and she's 3 feet away. What's going on? But it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that as a nitpick. I just noticed it. So he sits up. She turns around. Oh my God, it's Eddie Quist. What the fuck? And I'll never forget the line. I forget exactly what it is. Of course, I just said I wouldn't forget it. I want to give you a piece of my mind. And he reaches into his head.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
He improv that on the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It is so fucking good. I'll never forget that, man. It's like my friends and I used to say that to each other and like not realize what we were saying, you know? And he like reaches into his fucking brain
and he
where
pulls
there's a
like
gunshot and he pulls a piece of his brain out. And
but
then,
like, why does he do that except to be creepy?
Well, you know, I was thinking about it, man. And I swear to, and this isn't the case in the movie, but I swear there's a scene in another werewolf movie where the ability to transform into a werewolf was governed by like your frontal lobe or something. Am I making this up? I don't know.
No, that does sound familiar.
And
I don't know what it is.
So up until this point, I was like, oh, he's removing that piece, and that's what allows him to transform during the day.
Yeah,
that's not the case.
Because then he would have to jam it back in every
time.
I'm
saying like it was like a governor on a car. By pulling it out, it like released him. But that's not the case because he was the one as a werewolf who killed the girl 10 minutes earlier during the day. It's not.
I know that he improv'd it, but I wonder if
it's a great line.
I wonder if he realized like, oh, hey, I could pull my brain out. Like if he was dicking around with the makeup.
Yeah.
And then was like, hey, what if I say this? Like if I pull out a piece of brain, like
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Tell you, man, this scene, the best part for me, that's if for no other reason to watch the commentary, watch it for this scene, because they do the same as we do, where they're like, okay, let's talk about it.
Okay.
And they go over shot for shot.
Cool.
What's going on, how they did it, what's going on. Like they have as much respect for it. And that's really the only time Robert Picardo talks. He really doesn't talk that much, which is surprising. And
it's great. Like he's awesome in this scene, man. He's
like that scene. So the part where like it's like pulsing.
Yeah.
Like his face.
Yeah.
That was they used condoms for that.
Oh, okay.
And they did for the severed arm too. They strap condoms to this thing and then they fill them up with air.
Sure.
Or it must be air. And then that's what gives that effect.
In the outtakes on the DVD, they show this and they intentionally like put too much air in it and it blows up and everybody's laughing.
Oh, really?
It was pretty funny to see. Yeah. But yeah, he just, transformation aside, Robert Picardo in this scene is awesome. His acting, dude, when he, before it's full on puppet, and I don't know where that really,
they point out the exact shot.
Where do you know where it is? Yeah. Do you remember?
It's right after I think right after the condom, like that part,
the
like
face.
It's but that's what's so great about it is you can't, without them being like, that's a puppet right there.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell what's Picardo and what isn't.
So
and then there's more shots that are Picardo.
Afterwards,
like,
sure.
After like they'll show close-ups of like his eyes or like parts of his face that are that's him again.
But up until that point, dude, his physical acting, when he's like he's writhing in his chest, he's like and like I was like, dude, this is Picardo. Like, yeah, he's awesome. Like his chest, he's puffing his chest, and along with that, there's prosthetics, sure, but his acting during that scene, like he is Eddie Quist, the character in this scene, is so enjoying turning into a werewolf in front of Dee Wallace's character, and that's awesome. Like that, and that's what's awesome.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about his performance is like it's a. I mean, what, he got like 5 lines in the movie, but he's like he's a fully fleshed out. You know what I mean? Like he's into, and that he's awesome. And what's cool that he brought that much to it, because that's one of the other things he does say on the commentary, is he was kind of regretting signing on to do this while he was doing the movie. Like they're taping condoms to his face. He's like wearing werewolf makeup, and he's like, dude, I just had a starring role on Broadway last week.
Really?
Like I was a serious actor last week in like Shakespeare. I don't know if it's Shakespeare, but like it was a serious play last week.
Some pretentious bullshit.
Super. Yeah. Idris Elba said that too when he was shooting Thor too.
Really?
Like where he was, yeah, a lot of actors do that where they say,
yeah,
like,
they do.
You know, oh, I'm wearing this fucking helmet and standing in front of a green screen, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Yesterday I was Richard III, and it commanded respect.
Richard
and now,
III.
yeah.
That's what I say. Sorry, kids.
But yeah, Picardo said that when he was shooting it, he's like, did I make the right move here? Like, what was I?
Dude, I
really
get
fuck
that.
up?
Hollywood was a different animal in the 80s, and like it was a place where you could say like, oh, I was doing this thing last week, now I'm doing this. But I'm sure he looks at this now and appreciates it.
Yeah.
And we as fans of him, of his work, whether it's Star Trek or whatever, we look at this and maybe it's not your favorite Picardo, but it is awesome. It's an awesome role. It's a meaty role, even though it's small. And it's like in this scene alone, the acting that he does with the, like I was saying, the chest, all this shit, the foaming of his mouth when he's like spitting and he's looking at her and he's like, yeah, what's up, bitch? I'm changing into this werewolf. Enjoy it because I'm about to eat you. Like he's in it 100%. And I love it. That's why he's awesome, like, man. This is a much better scene in my opinion. London is awesome. It'll always be regarded as the greatest transformation. Fine. It's great. I get it.
This one had, I mean, there's a debate to be had. I mean, people do like they say that about this scene as well. I mean, I've heard that anytime I talk about American Werewolf, people bring up the Howling.
London is the more mainstream. I get it. It gets more attention. It's a more dynamic movie. It's got all these different elements. This movie is a serious werewolf mystery throughout, like it's a straight line compared to America, like London, where it's like it's a moving object. And the thing that people don't realize in the London transformation, the dude, I don't even know his name, the actor who's the werewolf in that.
Oh my God.
But it's only him for so much. And there's so much of it is prosthetic and it's all practical, which is great. But when you
he was in it 10 hours of shooting. Like, I mean, there's a lot of it that's him.
I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying when you look at what what the camera shows during that transformation, it's a lot of just zoom in on his face acting. He looks at the camera a lot and he screams and he does all this. Picardo is full body. It's him. It's his full body. Like there's the scene in London where he flips over on his back while he's transforming. Yeah. That's not him, like that's
you're talking about when he's, like I think we're thinking a different shot.
I'm saying it's practical, but it's not the actor's full body. Like there's scenes where they do that trick where it's like he's in the floor.
Oh yeah.
This is like Picardo full on, full body huffing, puffing. Like he was probably exhausted after he finished this.
Yeah. And
probably just as much time in the prosthetics as other dude, I'm guessing, because there was a shitload of them.
Yeah. Dude, he's the best. And you know what's kind of funny is like, I'm glad this movie was a success because he went on to do a shitload of prosthetics in other movies. Like he doesn't shy away from. Yeah,
I know, man. That's why I said like he's Andy Serkis would not have his job if it weren't for Picardo. Like you got to see Legend, man, and see what he looks like in that. It's
so funny how much he lends. Like it's one thing, like, okay, man, if you have Will Smith do the voice of somebody, then you're getting it's Will Smith's voice.
Sure.
But like he doesn't do his voice, but like he's the alien in Explorers, or he's like the Johnny Cab in Total Recall. And even though that looks like him, but like he brings like an essence to those characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's not just, first of all, nobody knows Robert Picardo. So it's not like, oh, that's Will Smith's voice. So you buy the character. You don't buy the actor. You buy into the character.
I didn't know he was the alien in Explorers until
no shit, really?
Probably this year. Yeah, he's now the alien.
Dude.
He's in when they like go to the movies and they like hang there and watch. He's in that movie. Like they made a fake like 50s B movie.
Yeah.
And he's like they made that, like he's in that.
But it's Picardo as a human.
Yeah. In that scene. Yeah. In that scene, and then he does the voice of the alien at the end.
Is he in this? suit?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, no way.
That's crazy, dude. I didn't know that. That's such an awesome. We should. Yeah, I hope we get.
I'd love to. Explorers is one, man, that like that's such under the. Nobody knows that. That's and like people remember.
Well, if you're an '80s kid, like you know that because that cast. What is that? That's
it's Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix, and that other kid who retired from acting pretty much right after that movie.
Isn't it, dude?
I think he did like one other movie.
Oh man, I can't remember his name. Anyway,
I wouldn't mind doing Explorers.
Well,
but it's not really.
Next time on E.
Yeah, but we'll discuss. We can change the rules.
All right. So yeah, excellent. And even like once it goes full puppet, you still get it's so fucking crazy. Like, you know, what's going on, what you're looking at, and like it's just terrifying. And she's standing there watching this whole thing go down, which sorry, I'm out of the room. Like I'm like Kevin, Kevin. If we're ever in a room, man, and this shit is going down and I run out, like don't take it personally. Like that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I'm gone.
That's one of the things I've heard. As much as I've heard about this transformation, I wouldn't say I've heard it as much, but that's one of the big criticisms of this scene is that she just stands there and watches him. And they address that in the commentary. And
what they say in the commentary.
Well, Joe Dante says like, yeah.
Because I think I know.
Well, he says like, why would you just stand there? And he's like, I thought the same thing when I was cutting it. And he's like, there were these kids, we were editing it, and there were these kids, I think they were shooting like a commercial or something, like a cereal commercial. And he brought them in and he showed them the scene. Like, what do you think? And they were like, why doesn't she run away? And he was like, because it's a movie, I think he said, like, and that like, it is like a, what are you doing? It's also, but he also addresses that, like, there's nothing I could do. Like, I wanted all these shots, like I wanted this scene in the movie. And if she runs away, the scene's not in the movie. So she's got to stand there and watch it. Like he kind of admits that for him, it's a necessary.
She's evil. Us. She is us.
Yeah. But what's cool is the next time the transformation happens, I'm thinking the same thing. When it happened the second time with Dugan, I was like, oh, dude, is he? Because I was able to suspend my, do headcanon, suspend my disbelief. If it happened a second time, it'd be like, come on. And he doesn't wait around. He blows it away.
Right. Which is great.
Yeah, but it was cool.
I don't know. It's interesting that Dante doesn't realize this about his own movie, but there is precedent for her reaction to this at the beginning when she's in the nudie booth with Quist and he's changing there again, also. Yeah. She freezes in terror. She's frozen literally. And remember, she tries to scream and yell for help and she can't. Yeah. She's so fucking scared. So, and that was her and Eddie Quist. Cut to this scene. It's her and Eddie Quist. She's gone through this PTSD from the first time they met. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me she doesn't run.
It doesn't ruin it.
It works. Yeah, story.
It works. It's fine. It's not even, it's not, why would you go in there? Like, it's not a criticism. It's just, it is like, what are you doing? Like, but like, that's a solid explanation.
Elliot in E.T., man. When he first sees E.T. outside and with the Reese's Pieces, and he's trying to scream for help. He can't. He's paralyzed in fear. I've never been that scared, but I'm sure it happens. And I've never questioned the fact that she stood there. I mean, I pointed it out because she does, but it's also like, all right, well, that's her physical reaction to seeing this fucking maniac change into a werewolf. Like, I can't imagine what I would do, And then, like you said, Dugan later on is confronted with the same thing. He's a different person and under different circumstances and just blows him away, which is hilarious because Quist doesn't realize he's got silver bullets.
Well, up until that point too, Dee Wallace doesn't, he's been doing investigating, on werewolves, and he's pretty convinced, oh, he's a fucking werewolf and I can go in and shoot. Like, that's really the first time she like sees, I mean, besides the first time that he and the whole movie, she's gaslighting to think she didn't actually see that.
Yeah, she doesn't know what she saw.
Yeah,
that's what it was. We know what it was.
Yeah, but like, then when she sees it, it's, she's not going in there expecting to see a werewolf. If anything, she, maybe a psycho or something.
Am I looking at a psycho right now? I can't tell. He's not exploding in the sunlight, so I don't know. And then all right, so this she throws acid on him. I'm guessing it's some kind of acid, maybe wolfsbane, or I don't know what the fuck it is. She throws something on him and melts his face, and she runs. And then as soon as she leaves, the people catch her. They take her to the barn, where they've also already somehow gotten her friend's body there. Her friend's body just kind of like teleports around throughout this movie. Right before we get there, there's a scene at the gas station where Danny Dugan's gassing. He stops for gas as he's coming out, and the dude, he pulls in, and I guess there's just one pump, and there's another dude in Danny Dugan pulls in his upper class Mazda.
Yeah, and he says, "Hey man,"
and Denny and the other guy's like taking too long, and Dugan's like, come on, and the dude's like, shut up, dude. He's like, not all of us got enough money for a Mazda. And I'm like, I'm thinking like, Mazda, like, was that like a really like posh car back in the day? It's
probably
hilarious.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, maybe. There's a couple scenes. There's a couple lines in the movie that stop. My favorite line, besides Dick Miller, but like when he goes, "Silver bullets, my ass." Like he tells him, "I've got silver bullets in this gun." Okay, and the guy goes, "Silver bullets, my ass," and he blows him away. It's the best.
And the dude that says that,
what are you gonna do? Stab me?
Right. I wrote that down too, because that dude, if there's any comedy moment, it's those two moments. Like that dude, the way he says, he's like silver bullets, my ass. Like it's like there's an effect on his voice.
Are silver bullets that hard to come by? I guess you'd have to have them made.
I don't think so, honestly. I'll tell you why off mic. But yeah, I think. Do
you have some, like, just in case?
Yeah. So
right now, any bullets are hard to come by. I have a buddy who's a gun nut, and he's like, "Dude, ammo is very hard to come by."
Good.
Right now,
I'm glad. So we're at the, everybody's gathered in the barn so they can, I guess, like we were talking about earlier, like what's the motive here for just having these two people come to the colony? And am I right in saying that the doctor is not a werewolf?
No, I think he is.
Really?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I could be wrong.
He never changes. He never, nothing, not even teeth. He gets clawed by the woman who's like, "Shut up, you doctor," and claws him in this scene in the barn. And then he gets blown away by Dugan. And is he the one that says, "Thank God"? Yeah, I guess you're right. He is a werewolf.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, so he is a werewolf because he says, "Thank God." Maybe not. I mean, he could be like saying like, he could just be everybody's doctor here. And like,
yeah, but if that were the case, he could have shot himself. And I guess he could have found silver bullets too, but
I don't know. I don't know. It's strange because I don't know how he got into this.
I think he's a werewolf, and he's also a therapist, and he's rolling with the situation.
I mean, that could very well be. The only other scenario is he's just a therapist who one of his patients was like, "All right, doc, I'm going to tell you something that's crazy here. You might not believe it, but I'm a werewolf." "Yeah, bullshit." "Well, come to the colony and check it out. We need a doctor." So I don't know. Yours is more believable.
I think he's a werewolf because he's not. What other motivation does he have to be? You know what I mean? To be a doctor for a bunch of werewolves. Before Dugan gets to the barn, he makes it to the doctor's office, and he's confronted by Quist, and Quist is all kinds of fucked up. Yeah, that was awesome.
Acid. Yeah. And again, like amazing Picardo, like we said, he doesn't have a lot of lines in this, but he does. Like when he's in the movie, he's in the movie. Yeah. He's in the movie, and he confronts Dugan, and he's like, which is great. Dugan's like picking up the phone or whatever, and you see him behind the glass door, and he just crashes through it and like grabs the gun, and they're talking. And then he's just like knowing or thinking that it's just regular bullets. He's like, "Here, take the gun back." He's like, he calls him Bright Boy. He's like, "Hello, Bright Boy." I love how he talks in this movie.
Yeah.
We've never seen, Picardo like this. And he gives him the gun back, and he's like, "Come on, take a shot. It's not going to do anything to me." And Dugan's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Blam, and he's done. Quist is dead. I think Eddie Quist, man, as a villain,
he kills.
He's awesome. He's a great villain.
It gave me like I know we said Blowout earlier, but it gave me like John Lithgow in Blowout, or like a Buffalo Bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a scary dude, man. You know, just
right.
not
good.
all there, and like real dangerous. You know?
Unpredictable. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't like what's his motivation? Because in a lot of ways, it feels like he's doing like he's the mangler in the city just because he can be. Obviously, he's a werewolf and he needs to eat as well, and that's his prey. He's stalking these people.
I think it's just crazy.
He chose to do it in the city because he's like, I'm young, I'm a werewolf, I'm gonna go fuck some people up, and he's crazy. Yeah.
How about those werewolf drawings, man? That was cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really dug that whole like, hey, we're gonna go to his apartment, we're gonna find it, and they find the drawing of the like
the colony,
wherever it is of the and they match it up like to where it is, like. And
it's pretty spooky when she matches it up, when she realizes it, and she's like,
yeah,
oh my god, like Eddie Quist has been here. This is where it came from. It's
cool. He does. You're right. He does loom over the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all throughout. It's like he's only got like maybe 3 actual scenes, but he looms over it. Definitely.
And the final scene reminded me a lot of Midnight Mass. You know?
Oh yeah.
Just
totally.
like everybody in town's just like, yep. Yeah. All right. Hey, we're this thing. Like,
this is where you really locked in around here in the barn.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. The barn. And then basically the epilogue. Like, I mean,
the epilogue
really
is phenomenal.
She goes on the news.
Well, before you get to the epilogue, the barn scene is really awesome because Dugan shows up, and this is where nobody thinks he has silver bullets. So he's just shooting the brother. You see his stump arm where she chopped his arm off.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize that that's who that werewolf was. Like he shoots the doctor. Thank God. He shoots the dude who's like, silver bullets, my ass. Hilarious. And then saves Dee Wallace. They box everybody up in the barn and light it on fire. And as it's burning, you get these like sort of half change, full change werewolves, like just freaking out like a cat in a bag. It's like, it's such a cool scene. And now knowing that they only had like one werewolf head or whatever, and I know a lot of these are half changed. So it's like, it's really cool to show.
Some of it might, some of it's probably like just makeup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like they didn't use the
and they're doing that thing where they're like clawing at the, like sticking their mouth through like a little hole. And it's like, and it's just like, it's crazy. And they try to escape, or they do escape, but during the escape, they're attacked by a bunch of werewolves that were either in there or not or whatever. And one of them, who bites her, gets in the car through the roof and bites her, and then they blow him away, and it changes, and it's the husband. It's not Tom Atkins. So that's where I realized, I was like, oh yeah, where the fuck was he this whole time? Like, he really disappears. Like, it's right after he smacks her. That's his last scene.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him again.
Yeah.
And even now, it could be anybody. It's just the tattoo. So we know it's
you just see the tat.
But as far as the actor goes, I wonder why that choice was made to not, he wasn't in the barn saying like, join us, wife, like, or anything like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, it works. Like, I didn't have the thought, like, where was he? Because and they don't realize talk about it on the commentary, but
you don't realize it till he's in the back, till you see the tattoo, and you're like, oh yeah, where were you this whole time?
I mean, he's a brand new werewolf. He's probably fucking pumped. He's running around being a werewolf. Like all the rest
but you
of
would
them.
Think that they would bring him into that scene.
Yeah, you would think.
And be like, this is why you should join us, because your husband's one.
But it also, that's the thing. This movie walks the line on like, is this voluntary, or is it like, I got the sense that being a werewolf, like slowly drives you crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's,
I could totally see that.
Well,
because they're trapped in this. They've been told by the doctor, no, you have to stay here. You can't reveal yourselves. We will. Eventually we will. But trust me. And that's why they're all losing their patience. And that's why you get Eddie Quist, he's like, fuck this, I'm out. And like, you know, that's why they keep probably bringing people in, I guess. But yeah, it's a werewolf story where you're like, I don't want to
I
be a
got the
werewolf.
sense the second time that he was trying to contain it. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
she's seen this werewolf. He's like, hey, let's go out here. And like, you know,
Yeah.
but why do all that shit? Why not just kill her?
I love when they're in the barn and they're showing her around and stuff and saying like, here's a dead body. Here's your friend. Here's a head, whatever. And then the doctor walks in and she's like, oh, doctor, thank God. He just goes, no.
Yeah.
And he like pushes her. He's like, nope, that's not what you think. I'm not.
And
who
you know
think.
what? Yeah, I should have been there way ahead of, but like the first time I was like once he got there, I was like, oh yeah, the doctor's a bad guy too. Like, and I should have seen that from the first scene. But yeah, I mean,
it's cool. But again,
it wasn't like a holy shit twist, but it was as soon as he showed up, I was like, oh yeah. It was a lot like, you know, it was a lot like you don't watch Succession, but something happened at the end of the season that's very much like, oh, that's obvious. And then they do the same thing where nobody says it, but a character shows up and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, why didn't I see that? Totally. All right. So yes, she gets bit. The epilogue. I love this. And I feel like it's the most botched, or like, why didn't you, like, they set your sequel up perfectly. And the sequel has nothing to do with it. They get back to town. She knows she's been bit. She knows she's going to change. She doesn't want to be a werewolf. And so they set up their plan, her and Dugan. I'm going to go, since she's a news anchor. We're going to go. I'm going to tell my story of what I've been investigating and what I found out about the Mangler and Eddie Quist and all this stuff. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to willfully change, which she does. And I'm going to have you blow me away on air.
Yeah.
Like, to show people, to expose the werewolves in the colony and what's going on. And we get that, like, she's there and this music, man, that's fucking playing throughout the whole movie starts playing now. And it's like, it's so awesome. And she's like, you know, giving her monologue, and the head of the station, you know who I'm talking about? The actor.
Yeah.
That dude, man, he's in, what is he in? Is he in Gremlins 2?
I don't know. I know one of the other reporters
Yeah.
is in Gremlins as that same reporter too. But it's
I wish I knew this guy's name. He was the main star of the original Body Snatchers movie, black and white. Like, I'm sure you can see his face. He runs up and he's like, they're here, they're coming, or something like that. Like, that's him back in the black and white days. He's been in all kinds of stuff and he's always great. And dude, when she changes and they cut to his face, he's like, what the fuck am I looking at?
It's Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't remember that, because they say it 1,000 times in the commentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
His look on his face of terror when she changes, and he's like, what the fuck? Cut away. You know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, Dugan blows her away. Like, but the look that she gives as she's a werewolf and she turns to look at
they use the baby Chewbacca.
Yeah. But it works, man. It's so, you have so much empathy for this character.
What I love
situation.
What I loved about it is the whole transformation is spliced with, you know, probably a dozen different reactions to people watching the news.
Yes.
Some people are like,
all right,
holy shit.
Talk about this. Totally.
This is
the
awesome.
Kids are like, werewolves on the news, mom.
The kids are like, man, like, and it's just like a shut up. Like, I'm sure the mom's like, what happened? The news lady turned into a werewolf. Other people like, that's bullshit. Like, that's fake. Like, that's it. It's cool. It's like, because that's what, you know what I mean? Like, what are they doing on the news? What is this? And then they cut to like a dog food commercial, you know, like.
So that as the with the montage of going around to the different people, it's like disbelief. Nobody's really like looking at it going like, holy shit. Nobody, it's not having the effect that they wanted on people. The only person who is like, oh yeah, that's real, is a dude at the bar who
gets shut down right away. Someone's like,
he's just kind of, but he's also just saying it like nonchalantly. Like,
it's a great line where he goes, that's real. And he goes, he's like, you're loaded. He's like, it's still real.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I wanted to talk about was like, I don't know. I know you don't like Shyamalan in his Glass, the last of the trilogy that he did. Shyamalan, and in my opinion, this is Shyamalan's. I like his movies. I love a lot of them. I love the Unbreakable trilogy for the most part, but I've never seen someone be so out of touch with current technology and current trends and current social goings on than Shyamalan in the end of Glass. And I'm going to spoil it, so anybody who doesn't want to hear this, don't listen. But have you seen it?
Yeah.
All right. So Shyamalan wrote this movie, and his big like sort of twist thing or whatever that he does was like, I'm going to show somebody's going to film superheroes fighting, and we're going to put it on, upload it to YouTube. And now the whole world will know that superheroes exist. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Everything is on YouTube. No one ever looks at YouTube as like, oh shit, we're under attack by aliens. It's YouTube, you know, like there's nothing on there that lends credence to science fiction possibilities. Okay. And so I didn't realize it until rewatching it, and shame on Shyamalan really for thinking that audiences were going to go, oh, so clever. Are you serious? So in this movie, I was really surprised that in 1981, Dante had the idea to put it, or maybe the guy who wrote the book, but within the story, it's like, we're going to put, the characters are going to, you know, they're like, they come up with this plan to show this live on the news and expose it to the masses that supernatural things are real. And everybody that we see has the same reaction that they would have today watching YouTube. And it was so interesting that Dante or the writer or whoever had the foresight to show that people were just as cynical then and suspicious then as they are fucking 40 years later today. Yeah. It's like, were we ever in a time where like, and I talked about Kevin McCarthy back in his Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie, black and white. It was like the 60s. And he's spending the whole movie trying to convince people that shit is going down. Aliens are here. And nobody believes him. I'm just like, were we ever at a point in society where, you know, somebody showed us proof of something that was completely unbelievable, and we're not cynical fucks? Today, no. I get it. Today I get it because of social media and where we are as a society. We're all fucking morons and cynical assholes.
I mean, it's not supernatural, but like, you know, you look at like the Watergate scandal, stuff like that. That was like, people were like, hey, this is some big shit, and people paid attention to it, you know. But like, shit happens all the time now that's way bigger, and no one gives a shit.
Political. Like when it's political, it's like, okay, power, money, whatever. But it's supernatural or science fiction. It's like, it makes me wonder, like, if aliens really did land, or somebody filmed a real ghost or the Yeti or fucking Loch Ness.
It was barely, they announced.
At what point do we
recently
believe that it's real? You know?
Well, I mean, the Pentagon came out like within the last year, man. Like, yeah, we have a spacecraft, and it's made out of metal. We don't know, it's not of this earth. And there's a bunch of and there's all these videos that like, we don't know what the fuck that is. We have no idea. It moves faster than anything on Earth possibly can. And like, they came out and announced all that, and no one gave a shit.
That's what I'm talking about. So like, I don't know. I shouldn't be surprised at this point, but I thought it was incredibly not only smart, but intuitive of like Dante or whoever, I guess Joe Dante, back in the 1981.
Yeah. He's got a really cool, and like, he's not cynical. He's just like, you know, you look at his take on Gremlins too, where it's like, that's stupid. Let's pick it apart. Like, he's not cynical. He's just like realistic and like smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, like the end of that movie, I wouldn't say it's cynical. It's just, yeah, that's about right.
Of the Howling.
Know? Yeah. And you're right about leaving a sequel on the table, man, because there's so much to explore there. You know what I mean? You've got, dude has to like, you know, like, what happened? Did the news cover it up? Did they
I'm almost positive 100% that in the second movie, it opens up with a mention of this scene. And I think actually one of the main characters is a relative of her, of Dee Wallace's character.
It makes me, I mean, based on what you told
that
me,
entire plot is dropped, and then we go into like La La Land.
Is there anything worth checking out about the second one?
Absolutely. I think you should watch it.
I will. I'll watch it.
I think it's worth a watch. I mean, I'm gonna go and watch 4. I've seen them all, but it's been a while. Like one of them is called Rise of the Marsupials, where they're like in Australia werewolves.
It's one of those things where they're still making like Dusk Till Dawn. Like technically, there's like 7 of them.
Dude, I just found out that there's a whole second RoboCop trilogy. Did you know that? Of movies that came out in like the early 2000s, and
with like real people, and
like it's live action. 3 movies as I hold up 4 fingers. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, not to get into RoboCop, but yeah, I think the second one is worth a watch just to see how bonkers it is and whatever.
That's kind of what I want out of it. Like for me, if you're going to do a sequel, if it's not a direct sequel, like it sounds like this is, like, we don't have anybody.
Yeah.
Let's do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is not a good sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, but it's insane. Like it's like, hey, let's just go fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's a departure from
story. Like exactly. Like we're not going to pick up where that story is, but we're going to go, but man, and anyway, we didn't bring up the last scene. The last shot of the movie is actually, you know what? I thought the last shot I thought was kind of funny.
I love this.
So they pan and they show all these regulars at the bar. They have that great, that's bullshit, or no, that's real. You're hammered. No, that's still real.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, hey, let me get a burger and a beer for the lady. And he goes, how do you want it? And then it's the hippie gypsy lady.
Yeah. Info.
Yeah. And she says rare. And like any other movie would like end there. But then they ended on.
You get to watch the burger.
You cooking. Have them, over the credits,
and I love this hamburger. Shit. I know you do too. This is the
it didn't freeze.
This is the Die Hard ending.
No, this isn't a Die Hard ending.
Yeah, dude, where the credits roll over, shit going on.
Oh, okay. We have a different definition of Die Hard ending. Okay, when I mean Die Hard ending, the shit that was going on in the movie, like what's Dead Alive was like where like for this to have a Die Hard ending, it would have had to have been like they blow up the barn or they burn down the barn and then they're just standing there and then the credits roll.
Okay,
like
I see what you're saying.
It's we're in the ambulance. There's no epilogue. There's no like Die Hard. There's no like, hey, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna get back together. There's none of that shit. There's just like he's like, and it especially all the ambulances and like that to me is what Die Hard ending means.
No, I get it. It's one of I've talked about it before. My 2 favorite 80s endings, where it's the freeze frame, Uncle Buck, and the credits roll, or something going on while the credits are rolling, a la Ram First Blood, or and in this case, what's going on is a hamburger being cooked, and I fucking love it. It's like you get to see, it's like a greasy griddle, like mom and pop bar, whatever, and he's cooking her burger, and this is how much
it's
of a
such
weirdo.
A weird choice.
It's how much of a weirdo I am. He's it's cooking on one side, he scoops it with the spatula and flips it too early, and the crust that it's forming sticks to the grill, and so when he flips it, it's all gray, almost like boiled meat. And I was just like, man, you should have just left it for just a couple more minutes. You would have gotten the crust, and when you flipped it, would have been perfect. But anyway, the credits are rolling over that. It's awesome. I love it.
It's a weird choice because like any other movie, it ends with her saying rare, and then it ends. Even a freeze frame. But then like
on her mouth,
like it's just like it's such a cliffhanger, like, and she's still alive, like, and she's still alive, and they're still out there, and all this shit. But then just to show him making the hamburger is such a weird. I mean, I like it. It was fine. It was good.
And the music that's playing over this is like, I wrote down, it's like seriously 80s, super awesome.
It's like synthy
ballad weirdness. It's awesome.
And then I don't know if you know, at the end of the credits, it's another weird choice.
Oh yeah,
like they just have a TV playing the Wolfman.
Right.
Like,
so is this like the very first Marvel post-credit scene?
No, they I'm sure they had them before this.
I know there's one I can't think of, but
I mean Ferris Bueller, but that's way after this.
It's 86. This is 81. I'm sure there's something it'll pop into my head, but I love it, man. It's a
good movie, man. It's a solid movie.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you got to see it.
It's not what I thought it was going to be. And that's like, it's not as lighthearted as I was expecting because it's Joe Dante, you know?
Right. You're used to a certain thing. Sure.
Yeah. But it was, it was solid. I liked it a lot.
All throughout taking notes, I did this, drew these like weird Eddie Quist werewolf pictures. All right, man. The Howling. You got anything else on it? What?
You know what I was just thinking? I can't believe they haven't, I guess because they've done a million sequels instead. And I guess you could probably argue they have remade it. I'm sure one of those is Also, I should say, I think it's the Howling 4 is the one based off the book.
Right.
In the commentary, they say it's the Howling 3, but everywhere else I've seen says to check it out, double check, but I think it's the Howling 4. Is the one that's based on this same material. But yeah, I'm surprised they haven't remade this.
You know, as far as remake goes, I feel like this movie is like, I think it's like prime remake material, but I don't think that, I feel like people don't remember this movie or think that it exists. You know, when you look at like the horror movies that are being remade today, they're all like relative, like it wouldn't surprise me if we saw American Werewolf in London remade.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened. It's weird the ones they picked, like they remade Amityville and you know, and like Texas Chainsaw and like The Hills Have Eyes. This I think lends itself so much more just because it's, I mean, not to say I want to see a CGI werewolf, but like it's, I don't know. I feel like it has a lot of respect too. Like people like Siskel and Ebert, Siskel loved this movie.
Really? What do you say?
Yeah. He just ranted about how great it was, and Ebert did not like it.
Really?
But yeah, he loved it, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah, people really like this. I'm really surprised. Not lesser movies, but movies that don't have the following that this does have been remade. You know,
Howling.
Yeah, I mean it's respected among horror fans. You know,
no, it is. You're absolutely right. I think that's the thing, is that it's respected amongst the horror community. It's respected amongst like people that review horror movies, Siskel, whatever. But I think that like the general audience doesn't know it exists, and because it's overshadowed in so many ways, in every way, by London. You know, it's like you think of, okay, the best werewolf movie. Everyone is going to say, the majority are going to say.
I would say American Werewolf, but I think a lot of people would say this. I know. I mean, honestly, my whole life, people have been like, yeah, but you seen the Howling? Like, people do like this more than American Werewolf. For me, I'll take American Werewolf all day, obviously. But
I mean, I agree. Like I said earlier, like American Werewolf in London is the better movie, but this movie is not. It's not bad by any means.
American Werewolf is better than most movies.
Right.
It's to compare the two isn't even fair.
Sure, I agree.
But
if you go but if you go like werewolf movies, what's the best? It's always London.
It's American, yeah. But like this one, I mean, this is more of it reminds me of Dark Knight in that like, oh, it's a real movie. It's not schlocky. It's not stupid. It's like when I saw Dark Knight, it was like, oh, cool. This is a real movie that has Batman in it. It's not, it's not the Daredevil movie or fucking Ghost Rider. It's an actual movie.
Don't ever say that when I'm drinking. Don't ever reference Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie.
I've got a soft spot for that one, man.
Oh my God.
I really love that one.
It's the seesaw scene on the playground.
Oh, the movie. It's not a good movie at all, but like I love Daredevil. Daredevil's probably my number one non-X-Men guy. And I've read him forever. And I was just pumped there was a Daredevil movie.
Sure.
Like, so I was like, fine. Like, I
Terrible
mean,
movie.
I've seen it probably 20 times.
Terrible. It's terrible. It's a terrible waste of time that you just acknowledged.
Oh, it's
that
yeah,
you
it's not good,
admitted.
but I've got a soft spot for it, man.
40 hours you've spent on that movie. That's crazy. Yeah, man. This movie, more people I wish more people would see this movie. You just gotta, going into it, it doesn't succumb to any sort of real horror tropes, or especially werewolf movie tropes. And it doesn't there's no comedy in it. I mean, the comedy, there's like a couple times where where you smile, maybe because it's dry and like witty banter or something.
Yeah. Or just, it's really just unexpected lines. Like the silver bullets my ass just came out of nowhere,
Sure.
which is why,
or a couple Dick Miller lines or whatever.
but it doesn't. Yeah. It really is just a
serious mystery movie with werewolves, about werewolves.
It would make a good series too. Like if you wanted to make like a Midnight Mass type movie.
Sure.
I mean,
dude, that's why I said fucking Flanagan. He's the guy to do it. I want to see him do werewolves.
They announced what it is.
What his next thing? What is it?
It's not werewolves.
What is it?
It's a remake of something that's been remade a bunch of times. I forget what it is, and I'll look it up. Yeah, it's gonna bug me now. But when it's gonna be his take on
what supernatural thing it was, what creature, whatever.
No, I'm trying to.
Well,
let me look it up.
I mean, he is Flanagan would do, just do the Howling in, a series, or I would love to see that dude do werewolves. He would do it right. He would make it interesting. It wouldn't be schlocky. It would be like Midnight Mass was to vampires. Like, sorry, just spoiled it. You gotta stay up on top of this stuff.
It's called it's called the Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that what? That's weird. But is he like he's remaking that specific like that? It's not just called that.
Yeah, it's his next. That's his next Netflix series. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like 10 episodes.
Weird.
Yep.
Huh. That's a weird thing to remake, especially
Frank Langella.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Skeletor.
That's weird. He usually does
Mark Hamill too. Weird cast.
Oh, that's cool. Well, maybe it'll be good. I wonder if he's what time period he's gonna set it in.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, cast looks awesome. I mean, it's. I'm gonna check it out. It's
absolutely.
If he were remaking Gumby, I would check it out. Like I don't, it's gonna be good.
He usually does original stuff though. I'm surprised, like his own stuff. Well, he did a couple Stephen King books. All right. Well, The Howling, man, 1981. What else you got? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. All right. I'm glad we did it. Glad we saw it.
Oh, one quick little thing. Did you catch the Roger Corman cameo?
No.
I
would not recognize Roger Corman.
It's in the very beginning, where she's in the phone booth and there's a guy waiting. It's a great scene too, because she's like
the guy standing outside,
and she's like, she doesn't know if that's him or she's like fucking creeped out. The guy's standing outside, and then he comes in, and remember the shot. The shot is like it lingers on for a little too long.
Sure.
Like he goes into the phone booth and just checks the changed thing, and that was like a nod to his Roger Corman.
But it was the dude who was standing outside for so long.
Yeah. And then she leaves and she's like, it's all yours. And then he goes in to the phone booth and checks the quarter, which was like a nod to like that he pinches pennies. But he was like Joe Dante was like his like apprentice, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
What did Dante? I know this is 81. I don't know when Dante's career started. Did he do like Corman movies?
I think he worked on them. Yeah. Like he was I don't know what his position was, but he learned a lot from Corman, from what I understand. And and you could kind of see that, and
that's cool. All right, man. If you don't have anything else, I'm gonna.
What's the eye movie?
I was gonna say I'm gonna reveal my eye.
So, I'm very curious.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure this is a movie that you have not seen, because I think I mentioned it pretty recently. It's a staple from my childhood, and I rewatched it pretty regularly, but I think I watched it like a couple of years ago, and it's still pretty fucking weird. Like, whatever. It's called Invaders from Mars, 1986. It's a puppet masterpiece fest about like lots of practical stuff. It's got nurse what's her name, Nurse Ratched or whatever. What's her name?
Oh, well, Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over.
That's when we talked, because she was in a movie that what movie was she in?
Louise Fletcher is the actress.
Louise Fletcher. What movie was she in that we talked? Maybe it was the Halloween, or she was in some movie, and I brought up Invaders from Mars. It's like definitely schlocky and like 80s sort of kids.
Toby Hooper though.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally forgot he directed it. Dang.
Yeah, I'm in.
Cool. Yeah, it's about a kid. Something lands in his backyard. He goes to check it out. Turns into an alien invasion.
Sounds like The Gate.
It's got very similar tones. He's kind of like, well, whatever. We'll watch it. We'll talk about it. So yeah, Invaders from Mars.
I'm in.
1986. Toby Hooper. I forgot that he directed that. Maybe that's what it was. Did we do a Toby Hooper movie?
I don't think we have done a Toby Hooper movie yet.
We didn't do Poltergeist. I guess we didn't. Damn. We gotta do Poltergeist. So yeah, next week for episode 42, look for that. Invaders from Mars, 1986. What else we got?
I remember we did Tales from the Crypt, an episode that he directed.
Oh, okay, cool. That's probably where we were talking about it. I don't know. She's in a lot of horror stuff. With that, I think you want to find us on the social medias. So check us out on Instagram. At Death by Podcast on Instagram. It's our social media hub. We are also on Twitter at DBP Podcast. I need to change that to something more interesting. But yeah, I've been, like I said earlier, I've been using the Twitter a little more, trying to reach out and bring some people in. We'll see. So you can check us out on there. If you want to support the show directly, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where we have our second bonus mini podcast, BoobTube TV. We watch a horror related show every week and we talk about it just like we just did. And this week we did, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned earlier, Monsters from the 1988 series. We did Werewolf in Hollywood Werewolf, whatever it's called. And we talked about that. That was fun. There's also behind the scenes on the podcast. You can sign up and get on our sticker tier and get custom stickers and all kinds of stuff. So if you want to go over there and chuck in a buck, as they say, get some cool stuff. Leave us reviews. What else? Leave us reviews on iTunes and Spotify and all that. We've also got a YouTube channel that kind of has stuff on it, kind of mostly doesn't. But if you leave a comment there, that'll tell me that we should put more stuff on it. So
yeah, eventually it will.
Eventually it will. And I think that does it for social media and stuff. If you want to reach Kevin, his address is... Okay. I think that's it, folks. Thank you for listening to episode 41 of Death by Podcast. I am your host, Adam. That is your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time. Say Kevin again. It wasn't good.
Kevin.
Yes, Kevin. It's Miller time. Okay. Kevin, take it away. Kevin, take it away. Perfect. Whew. Nailed it. You're so good at that.
Yep.
Really good at that. All right, Taco Bell, come find us. Give us that sponsorship. We'll see y'all. We'll see y'all later.